Two watching. I already got two folks watching. Oh, wait, that. Okay. Open this. No, fucking. No, other way. Just, there we go. Alright, folks, we're just posting that we're live everywhere, and this takes a minute. You know, as you do, as you do, as you do. What is that? What am I humming? What is that? Hey, Gupta, what's going on? It was a propaganda stream yesterday. People call me Republican. I don't care. I will say what is true. Look, when I'm streaming with somebody else, their chat might not be as forgiving as I am, to quote the Emperor, or to quote Vader about the Emperor. So, I appreciate you hanging in there. I saw you. I think I shouted you out like right after you had left. I was like, no, he's alright. He's alright. I understand. And again, you know, other chats might not be as like, hey, it's okay, let's see what he has to say. This might be like, eh, fuck you. And unfortunately, that's what happened. What is that? Hey, Jamie, what's going on? Always hydrated. I hope you're staying hydrated down there. Random Friday pilot for Starbucks reporting in. You know, I was like, let me buy. I forgot that the new one came out. I thought it was coming out in July. It came out at the end of June. And I'm like, ooh, let me buy that. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to stream, and I can't stream from the Switch. Let me just play the fucking Star Fox 64 that I have on here. So that's what we're doing. That is what we are doing. Yo, so many of the discords I'm in keep getting spammed by like scammers. I'll look at Discord. It's like you have 10. There's 10 notifications. I'm like, what? And it's all in one thing. It's all someone going, I got crypto money from Mr. Beast. Or some bullshit. I am gonna get that Star Fox game though, because I want the new one, and I want to play it on my Twitch. You got Tree Fitty. I was talking about crypto. Yes, I saw you pop in the chat, by the way. Where that was cool. Thank you. With Gina, I was talking about how I have a friend who works at a crypto hedge fund, and I'm like, "Do you put any of your money in crypto?" And he's like, "Hell no, hell no, I would never." What's going on, Picker? I see you over there on YouTube. Welcome, welcome. Thank you too for hanging out in the chat yesterday with Gina. That was a lot of fun. I'm really having a good time with these Friday Gina streams. I really feel like it's me and my aunt. All right, so what are we watching today? Well, today again, it's a short stream ish. Thank you for the hat. You know, dude, I kept going to the Nintendo store here in New York. Why is my thing so loud? Is my volume too loud? I kept going to the Nintendo store right after an unrelated thing happened with the healthcare CEO, and these were sold out. They were sold out for months. I kept checking the website. I kept checking when they were going to be available. And then last year, when I was waiting for the store to open before going to work, because I work in the same area, I was waiting to go get Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I still have yet to make a video on, because to me it's like a big project and I'm putting it off, and it's annoying to me. It's the same thing with Crimson Desert. I don't know how I made that video about Hollow Knight. Like, I quickly made that as soon as Silksong came out, and I'm glad I did. Larry, I see you there. I sound good? Okay, thank you. And when I went to go get Donkey Kong, they had these hats, and I was like, ooh, perfect! Let me snag one. Now that they're in stock again. And now that my hair is gone, I can actually wear this comfortably now. I can also wear my do-rag. Because I really haven't been able to wear these since my hair got too long. There we go. This blue do-rag for America. Come on. Yeah, there we go. DAP, what up, What up, Ghost Dog? How you doing? I know, man. I went to the barber on Thursday. Going, I just want to do the beard. A lot of the reason I had my hair long was because my wife likes it, and it was just like, hey, I just want to see your hair long. I've seen all these old pictures of you with your hair long. Let me see that. And so I grew it out because I was going to this concert, the Weird Al Madison Square Garden concert last year. And I was like, let me grow it out for Weird Al. I'll have a mustache. It'll look like 80s Al. Perfect. And then I'll just keep growing my hair out for my lady. And also I just wanted to see how long I could go. It's been a long time since I grew my hair out. So I was like, how long can I go? And turns out yesterday. It turns out the other day. Wish.com out. Yeah, exactly. Because, like, dude, it was so hot. It was so hot. And my hair is just like, it's such a bother to, like, go to sleep on. I gotta flip it out of my ears all the time. I hate it. I hate it. So, I cut off a lock. She wanted a lock of hair, so I cut off a lock of hair for her. And she's happy with it. And I'm like, oh, now it's nice and cool, and I'll grow it out for another year, maybe. And we'll see maybe if I can make it 2 years next time. But what are we doing today? Today, like I said to Warhite, I wanted to play Star Fox because it's Independence Day, and there is an Independence Day level in Star Fox. I'm also gonna buy the new one, which I forgot came out like 2 weeks ago. And yeah, man, my wife's dyeing her hair in the bath, taking a nice little relaxing bath with an edible, and I figured, hey, I'm working, and I might as well do a little something that I want to do. And I was gonna make a reaction today. I made a reaction yesterday. Matter of fact, let me show you all that. I made a reaction yesterday to Brian Andrews. Brian Andrews dropped a little mixtape with all his like protest music on it, called Independence Day, and it's really good. I don't like country music, but it's country. It's also inspired by like Rage Against the Machine. There's metal in there. It's very cool. Um, 6 songs. There's an intro and an outro where he's like talking a little bit. And yeah, exactly. My wife knows how to have a good Saturday. And we're gonna watch some movies. Like, we're gonna watch Independence Day, Mars Attacks. She's never seen Mars Attacks. I was thinking about Dazed and Confused, because there's that famous line where they're all running out for summer break, and the teacher's like, remember that when you're celebrating the bicentennial brouhaha, don't forget that the whole reason that it exists is because a bunch of white slave-owning white men didn't want to pay their taxes. I'm like, hey, we could watch that. It's a fun movie. But yeah, so this Brian Andrews reaction, I encourage you to check it out. It's fun. Everyone watching, your politics aligns, and you'd have a good time with that. Of course, my interview from Wednesday, edited to remove the tech issues in the beginning, is up. I did a Roots reaction that, I was like, hey, in the spirit of like, we're getting to America 250th, let's go back and look at the darkness. And it wasn't as dark as I thought. It wasn't a lot of like, it wasn't no Vince Staples Crybaby, I'll tell you that. Which I still am listening to every single day. Yeah, but, we got, here's Warhite showing up, and Larry showing up in the thumbnails of all these Summer Games Fest reactions. Saw you playing a little Guild Wars the other day before hopping off stream, because you're in Alabama, and oh my god, I can't imagine how fucking hot it is down there. They're doing like all the boat parade shit outside. I ain't going outside. But, I don't know if you've heard, but recently, as in this past week, Lupe Fiasco, who I've just become a fan of, oh my god, 103 Fahrenheit? Jesus Christ. Did I like the new Isaiah Rashad album? That's a good question. I did make a video about it. Right here. And as I'm listening, I remember thinking, like, this is alright, but I resonated with this album more, and it reminded me of this album, Marlon Craft, The Internet Killed the Neighborhood. And I think maybe because they were both like jazzy sounding, that's why I compared them in my head. I haven't gone back to it, but I feel like I should, because a lot of people really like that one. And I feel like I maybe didn't give it a fair shake. I wasn't as brutal in my review. I was kind of like, this is alright, when I was listening to it. In my Clips review last year for Let God Sort 'Em Out, I was harsh, and I was having a bad day that day. But also, those beats felt very fucking empty, and Pharrell does the production. I'm like, Pharrell, you make hits. Why is this sound so fucking bland? And also the repeating, this is culturally inappropriate voice that would keep showing up on every single song was fucking frustrating. So, did I like the Isaiah Rashad? Yeah, it was alright. I haven't gone back to it, but I should. And I've been meaning to. But I've been really, like, Lupe, I just became a fan. Literally 2 months ago, I did his first album. And then the day I went to go see him live, I did The Cool. Man, my hair was huge. And I'm going to continue with his discography. But he was on Culture United recently, this week. He also been on some other people's podcasts and stuff, talking the kind of shit that he talks. And BK is one of my favorite members of Culture United. I think she's so smart. Her channel, Look at the Material podcast with BK, she has a lot of great videos on there, and I think she's so insightful. Matter of fact, I DM'd her on Instagram to see if she'd want to come on the show and have an interview. She did respond with some hearts. We'll see. That could just be. I don't know if y'all seen the South Park episode where it's about texting and like Stan Marsh. I think it's about ChatGPT, and Stan Marsh just keeps like doing the react things on people's texts, on his girlfriend's text, and she's getting frustrated. Like, why can't we have a conversation? I got to do the mixtapes. I keep hearing I got to do the Lupe mixtapes. So maybe we'll get into that one day too. Because eventually, my first like journey in hip hop on this channel was Kendrick Lamar, and eventually I did do like the Kendrick Lamar self-titled thing, the Heart series, and just made that all one video. So maybe it will get to Lupe. Because, those videos are doing pretty well, so I might as well keep going. We're also going to keep going with Nas and Jay-Z. I want to lead up to the Jay-Z concert that's going to happen and get to, like, the takeover and the ether, beef with Nas around that time. But, all that to say, Lupe was on Culture United. We will watch some clips of that after I hear BK's kind of wrap up of what it was as a primer, because I didn't get to watch it. I was doing movie night extravaganza. Shout out Christina and Forrest and Conan for letting me come and kvetch about Supergirl on Wednesday night. But yeah, let's see what she had to say.
What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Look at the Material podcast. I'm your host, BK, and today apparently I have to clear some things up. Let's look at the material. So a misunderstanding was brought to my attention, not by the person that has an issue with me, but by somebody else, which in and of itself is disappointing to me, because I feel like we're peers in this space as creators, and so you can DM me on Twitter, on Instagram, hell, even YouTube has DMs now. So I just feel like if you have an issue with me just going forward in the future, just reach out to me, because if that were to happen, I would have clarified my position and I would have made it clear, oh no, that's not what I was saying, this is what I was saying. But instead of that happening behind the scenes like I would have hoped, I have to make a video about this because I'm gonna clear up my character, I'm gonna clear up my name. So I wanna back up a little bit before we get into the misunderstanding and give y'all some context leading up to the interview we had with Lupe on Culture United. First of all, I just wanna say I love Culture United. I love representing Culture United. I am a proud representative of Culture United and co-host of Culture United. And so
Alright, now here's a question. Why is my controller not working? Why is my controller not working? Options, configure controller plugin. Oh, come on now. No. This is a question now. Yeah, what's going on there? Plugged. Save. Can I move? Can I do anything? No. I should have maybe tested this before jumping on. But you know what? Fuck it, we do it live. This is the question. Maybe I need to close this and then open it again. Or I need like some new version of Project 64. I don't know. Is Project 64 not the right emulator to use?
To that platform, I do take personally, because we're putting blood, sweat, and tears, metaphorically, into putting together these lengthy live streams. Elle and Justin helping to book really key people in the space. We had Boots Riley on this year, which was incredible. We had Nate Grant on this year, which was incredible. And usually, if you're familiar with the show, we have a couple main topics that go on for 2 hours, and then we have the second show where, you know, if we have an interview, we'll debrief the interview, or we read super chats, you know, and the people that are doing super chats and the people in the chat kind of lead the conversation, and that's when a lot of things can kind of be extrapolated on and expanded on. I understand the lives are like anywhere from 4 hours to 7 hours, and it's a lot, so you may not see all the context, you may not see the entire video, and to be honest, I don't blame you for that, but just know that if you don't watch the live from the beginning to the end, you may be missing key context, which is why reaching out to clarify would be the best course of action in my opinion. But I digress. So before we have the interview with Lupe, to be honest, I thought we were gonna talk about that for like a little minute and then talk about the BET Awards and other stuff, but I feel like now, zooming back out, I see that with a week-long crash out, with popping up on different podcasts and lives and all that stuff, I guess it was best to allow that conversation to breathe for the whole conversation, because a lot of people had a lot of thoughts. At a certain point, I just turned off the chat. Like, I was not watching the chat because it was moving super fast. There was a lot of vitriol. I do want to shout out the mods who were like, hey, like, you can't be disparaging the host of the show or we're gonna ban you for 24 hours. I really do appreciate that, because you can have critique about how the interview went, you can have critique about Lupe himself, but to go into disparage the co-host or the host of the show, it's a little bit too far, especially if you want to share space with us. Now, to be completely honest, when I saw that Lupe was the guest interview and that was going to be the topic for the whole stream, I rushed to go look at some videos to kind of see what was the drama, because to be honest, the last time I saw Lupe's name in a headline was around 2024, when he was talking about how he's okay with Drake collecting memorabilia from our greats, and he said a couple things that I feel like were backhanded compliments to K-Dot, who I'm a big fan of, as you guys know. I have stayed out of the mix with that because I just felt like some of the conversations coming from Lupe come off as condescending or elitist, whether that's his intention or not, and he does seem like someone who, whether he intends to or not, brings a lot of kind of reactionary energy. And so that's my reference point with Lupe. I've enjoyed Lupe as an artist. I've enjoyed Lupe's music, but like, I have not been so deep invested in the fucking spaces and in all these places. And that's okay if you are, but I have not been so in the weeds about his beef with this.
That makes me sad. That makes me sad because I had fucking games on here that I wanted to keep playing, man. I have a whole fucking Ocarina of Time shit. At least all my saved games are saved. Because on like one of the other ones, PlayStation or GameCube or something, the save games are gone. So it's like, oh, fuck off. Alright. Settings, I guess, maybe. Configure, no. Configure controller plugin. It's not recognizing that there's a controller. Backup, I don't know if it's backup, man. It's just not even recognizing that this is plugged in. Which is annoying, because this is lit up like it's working. And I even have DualSense X connected, which is like, it's all green, it should be working. You know what? Hot fix. I've been meaning to get back to this game for a while. And I've been like recording it to cut into like episodes, like Elden Ring. But I just want to see if I can even remember how to play it. And that game is also a very American game for today. Metal Gear Revengeance. So, let's try that out. Because that should work with the controller. Steam works easier than a ROM. But that sucks, man. I gotta figure that out. Because I want to play. I want to play the rest of the Master Quest Ocarina of Time. Especially now that the remake's coming out. Alright, here we go. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. This is going to be fun to see if I can remember how to play this. This is the problem with any fucking Metal Gear game, and I know this is like a particularly different one. It's more like Bayonetta. But every Metal Gear game I ever played, which was only like 4 and 5, I'm like, okay, this is a cool game. I'm getting it. I kind of understand what we're doing here. And then I take a break for a month or two and come back to it. And then I'm like, I have no idea how to play this game. Death Stranding, same thing. Okay. Over here. Hey, it's working. Let's go. Oh, boy. Hey, Etch. What up? Yes, Free Luigi. Revengeance is sick. I think I might install Kerbal Space Program in honor of Elon Musk after the Dodger game. Hey, I've heard about that game. Is that good? I remember me and Warhite and Larry saw a bunch of trailers for it like a year or two ago at the Game Awards. It was like a big deal that they came back. By the way, how's the sound? Can we hear her
creator
and the
and
music
what he said and whatever the case may be? What I did was I went to a very trusted source, the Rap Roundtable, friend of the show, and I watched their video on Lupe. I watched about 95% of the interview in preparation for the interview on Culture United. And I think he was just kind of like in the chat and they had like invited him on. Like, I don't know if it was pre-planned or anything like that. And from what I got from that interview, that mind you got really combative at a certain point, was that, okay, when we go into the interview with Lupe, I'm gonna play the backfield, I'm gonna speak whenever I've been called upon, but I clearly don't have enough lore and context to have a really strong opinion about this. And from what I heard Lupe say on their platform was that there was a creator who made a video about how lyrics don't sell records, and it was called like the Lupe Fiasco problem or something like that. I'm not familiar with the creator, I'm not familiar with the video that, you know, Lupe saw, but apparently he hopped on there and was like, well, I've sold records and I'm a lyrical nigga, so don't use me as, you know, an example. And they had a back and forth, and within that back and forth, he said 100 niggas is better than K-Dot. It's 100 unsigned MCs that I can name that's better than K-Dot. And then actually when I saw the clip again, because they pulled up the clip on the Rap Roundtable, he said hundreds with an S, and then started naming off like a couple people. And so watching this from the peripheral, I thought the whole beef was Lupe Fiasco says 100 MCs that are unsigned are better than Kendrick Lamar. And I just kind of rolled my eyes at it, honestly, because I was just like, okay, this is the same person that had, you know, K-Dot's name around his name in 2024, and it was combative, and it was reactionary, and it was arguing, and it was let me finish, and I'm bulldozing and all that stuff. I said, baby, this seems like a cycle. This seems like a rinse and repeat. And so I don't know that there's anything that I can say to convince him different of his worldview, and I don't even know if it's my place to convince him different of his worldview. So this idea of like holding him accountable, it's like in order to hold someone accountable, they have to accept accountability, accept that they did something wrong or said something wrong, and it doesn't feel like he feels that way. And I can't make him feel a different way. So now there's some other comments that we'll get to in a minute, but that's just my POV coming into the conversation. I'm not a huge Lupe fan. I don't work with or around or for Lupe. I am a regular ass bitch. I am in a master's program in fucking Dallas, Texas. I work as a massage therapist on the weekends. I have a regular ass life. And so I just didn't have
not remember how to do this at all.
that I needed to understand why I should be phrasing in contention. Something that I said out of my mouth that I feel like is being taken out of context, that I feel like is being misunderstood. Because I'm being called a hypocrite. I'm hearing that people praised me and now are just so disappointed. No, I can't let that stand, because that feels like an attack on my character, and it feels like a misrepresentation of who I am as a person in real fucking life and who I am as a creator. So let's get into it. Please go back.
All right. So I just have to pause here because one, how's the sound? Two, I don't remember how to fucking play this at all. There is a flow that I remember being in that I do not. It is not connecting with me. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I gotta hit the bathroom real quick. So, I don't know. Spam buttons aim for the boxes. Yeah. Yeah. So, look, I figure so long as we got the controller plugged in, let's fuck with some games, bro. Let's fuck with some games. Let's just test the other emulators that I have. See if those work. By the way, I am working also. I got 6 days this week. That's good. 6 shifts. What am I on? It's 4. And you know why I took a shift today? Because one, it's hot as fuck. Where am I going? Two, my neighborhood's locked down, so I can't go anywhere anyway. 3, it's a holiday, so it's fucking easy. You know, not a lot of news happening today. And even if there is, it's not going to be reported on until tomorrow, Monday. So yeah, take the easy check. So yes, what I'm gathering, yeah, we're gonna try something else here. What I'm gathering from this discussion is she got a lot of heat. Lupe Fiasco, big rapper, famous guy. Every show he goes on is going to have a lot of his fans. And those fans might be more stans than fans. And we don't like stans. Stans are bad. Eminem taught us that. And I, again, just became a fan of Lupe Fiasco. I don't have nostalgia for him. And yeah, he seems ornery. And I understand why. You know, famously, he kind of got screwed over in the beginning of his career, and it really impacted the trajectory. So, you know, I can see him, like, being pissed, seeing people clearly inspired by him. Hell, when I saw him live, it was at the top of Pier 17 in New York. You can go look at the event space and see what the layout looks like. It's very cool. It's outside. And there were clearly people up there who were, like, just up there to be at Pier 17. Like, it was a different section, but also on the rooftop where there happens to be, like, a concert space. So, as he's performing, he looked around, he's like, you know, I see not everybody's here for me, you know, I'm just letting you know what's going on. I'm Lupe Fiasco, I'm a rapper. Some say one of the most influential, some say has influenced some of your favorites. And I could feel the words Kendrick Lamar on his tongue and him not actually saying it. And that, I thought I was reading into it. Until some of these later interviews have been coming out. And it's like, oh, no, he definitely meant Kendrick Lamar. So let's try a little Crash Bandicoot. I mean, should I download it and install this new Duck Station? Let's try it. Ooh, my God. And so he's been doing these interviews, and a lot of people have been like, oh, that's just how Lupe is. Like, he's all love. He doesn't mean anything by it. Some of them are like, screw him. He's bitter. He's just bitter that his career isn't where he wanted it to be, and he's just taking it out on the most popular guy now, and this and that. And this is someone who had firsthand experience sitting down with this man, you know, again, like she says, not having nostalgia for him, just, hey, I'm doing this interview with someone who I know is very famous, and this is my experience coming at this and my questions that I have, and clearly she got a lot of fucking hate, which is undeserved, because she's super fucking smart. She's super smart. And, you know, highly respect for her. So I kind of take her word as gospel here. I just want to let you know that's the context of what we're watching here. BK is fucking awesome.
I can watch the live to actually get direct quotes. But from my recollection, L asked Lupe basically, like, why don't you just ignore these niggas? Like, why is it that...
Oatmeal.
No. Whole pizza.
No. Eggo waffles?
Yes!
They both said yes to something.
The delicious Eggo taste they want. The wholesome breakfast you want for them.
You're always going back and forth with a super small creator or a fan, or like, why don't you just ignore these people? And he basically says, I get rage baited. Like, I get on Instagram and I get on YouTube just like y'all, is exactly what he said. And he said, if I see a caption that's crazy with my face on it, I click on it, I respond. And he said something like, I keep my enemies closer. I keep my enemies real close. And to that enemy piece specifically, I don't know how any creator or
this is fucking garbage, dude. Duck Station doesn't work now, too. This just won't even load any game. This sucks. This sucks. I need to get a new fucking PlayStation emulator, I guess? Alright. 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 What else do I have? Super Nintendo. Let's try that. Open state. Hey, it does work. Yay. Okay, so
actor or creative in this space could be considered your enemy, and to feel the need to like keep them close or to feel the need to wish like they never get a job ever. Like, I'm not with that. I don't, that's beyond me. Like, unless they talk about your family, your bloodline, unless they count the number of times a nigga say nigga in a song, like, I don't see why a creator in this space, you know, would be your enemy, but that's not for me to decide. I don't have a personal issue with anybody, not enough to consider them an enemy. So that's up to him. But I even mentioned, like, to the point of wishing somebody doesn't have a job and all this stuff. I called him out at the end of the live when the comment about I hang with the billionaires and the killers came up. Because I was like, the billionaires are the killers. What's the difference? Why are we bragging about billionaire wealth and being close to it and being associated with it? So, like, if you watch the full live, I damn sure wasn't cheerleading. I damn sure wasn't like, ooh, yeah, beating my chest for that nigga. For the most part, I observed, I listened, I spoke when appropriate, and, you know, we kind of go into some more of these themes in the second show. So, the fact that, like, this is even an issue without reaching out for clarification is just beyond me. Like, he basically...
All right, now I'm confused. Hold up. Maybe we don't want the game capture. Maybe we try YouTube and we go ZSNES. There we go. Hey, now you can see the game. There we go. There we go. She took Lou out of context and is mad that she is apparently being taken out of context. Interesting. I think again, it seems like he's mad. He's mad that this is where his career is. He's not spoken about in the same breath as Kanye West, even though they started at the same level, they're from the same city. I think that's it, really. And then he sees Kendrick being heralded as like this unique, oh my God, nobody ever did this before. And he's like, I did it in 2006. Understandable that you're frustrated. But that's a keep that inside. Because otherwise, you do come off as bitter. And regardless, maybe not. Maybe that's justified. And you should, whatever. That's your experience. You want to talk about it? Okay. Regardless, she shouldn't be getting any kind of like, hey.
He admitted, like, if I see something about me on YouTube, instead of scrolling, instead of muting, instead of blocking, instead of just moving on from it, he admitted that he engages with it. And then Dewan, who was also on the panel, goes on to say something like, yeah, like, with these algorithms, in the YouTube space, clickbait is really popular, rage bait is really popular, making your thumbnail look a certain way so people, they go click on it, making your caption a certain way so, people go click on it. I mean, that's just like regular marketing, whatever the case may be. And sometimes it'll lean into exaggeration. Sometimes it'll lean into rage. Sometimes it'll lean into something that's gonna strike your emotional chord in order to get you to click on it. That isn't saying anything necessarily about the creator. Sometimes you have just purely rage bait platforms that it's just like, okay, that's slop. But like, we all title our videos,
by the way, how's the sound of everything?
In such a way, or do the on the fucking thumbnail in such a way to get someone to click on it.
Look at my thumbnails.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of videos being posted every single day. And we all trying to eat out here. So of course, I'm gonna try to go for the most eye-catching thumbnail or the most provocative caption. That's just kind of what the space necessitates. And so fast forward to my point, I think I even say before I said, I just wanna zoom out. I just wanna zoom out because y'all know I love a macro view of things. I say, I just wanna zoom out and talk about just the nature of the space.
Thank you, Edge.
In late stage capitalism, niggas be broke. As in, if you have to work for a living under the system of capitalism, you are broke. If you can't sit back, relax, and let your assets roll in, you're working class, you're a proletariat, you're broke as well. There's even 100,000aires and millionaires in that still have to hustle and grind every single day for a wage, for a living. Now,
this is why we love BK.
Of a petite bourgeoisie class, but if you're having to work to earn wages and you can't just sit on your ass and collect money in your sleep for real, then you're in that category too. Now, y'all know me as someone to be provocative with her words, as someone to be passionate and blunt with her words, as someone that tries to use comedic relief to add a little bit of levity to a situation where you can cut the tension with a fucking butter knife. Have some grace and some good faith based on the work I've already put out there and the character that I've already shown. I would not be directly calling somebody broke in an elitist way or in a classist way. As I said, I was not familiar with the creator involved, and so how would I directly be talking shit about somebody I don't fucking know? I was speaking about the space as a whole, which is fucking true.
Okay, so I think. Hang on, god damn it. I have to hit escape so that I get this blue screen and then I can use my mouse. I think what's happening is like the first podcast he went on was someone named like Koala TV or something, and then he went on Dewan's podcast, who she mentions was also on the Culture United panel, and then he went on Jalopy Bundit. Like, he went on a lot. He's been doing the rounds since this tour that he's been doing, right? So I guess the fans of that first YouTuber got mad at her and was saying like, oh, he broke. Like, he's working for a living, ergo he's not a billionaire. Why are you valorizing billionaires? And whenever you do, even talking with Gina yesterday, and I'm talking about like Taylor Swift, putting her in the same category as Bezos, and Gina's like, well, Taylor Swift worked for her money, and I'm like, she worked as hard as Katy Perry. She worked as hard as Sabrina Carpenter. She worked as hard as Beyonce. She worked as hard as any other singer. She's a singer. She goes and does arena tours. She puts out albums. That's what she does. She has $1 billion. Beyonce has $1 billion. It's not just from being a musician. It's being from exploiting labor somewhere. The people who put together the album, I mean, hell, someone made a nice little infographic of like the workers who write her songs for her, the workers and engineers who master it and put it together, the workers and engineers who literally make the artwork for the cover and put together the albums, the multiple editions of the albums that she puts out, like K-pop does this a lot, where they're like, here's one album, but there's 15 different covers. So if you're a real fan, you'll buy all of them. And it's like, what would you need multiple CDs for of the same album? It doesn't make any sense. It's just a way for the artists to just milk money out of their fans. And that's where I'm like, that's the difference between a Taylor Swift or a Sabrina Carpenter or Olivia Rodrigo, right? It's also the length of their careers, I guess. But that's why I say Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. Because Christina Aguilera a billionaire? Is any of the Spice Girls a billionaire? But I also think, South Park, my favorite show, they got $900 million from HBO. I think South Park is worth $1 billion. But also they're putting money back into the communities. They're paying their workers fairly. Everyone at South Park Studios, I've not heard any ex-employee being disappointed or pissed off at their work environment or anything like that. So it's probably too much, yeah. But that's why we need taxes that will tax people so that they just cannot become billionaires. Oh, I was skipping an ad. That's what I was doing.
I was not familiar with the creator involved, and so how would I directly be talking shit about somebody I don't fucking know? I was speaking about the space as a whole, which is fucking true. That the algorithms that are being coded by these people, by Elon, by Peter Thiel, by people that work for them, Palantir, X, all this shit, they are literally coded in a way to incentivize rage bait. and misinformation and shit that's going to shock you. And then you tie that with a blue check mark or with a check that you get. What does that create? It creates a situation where creators have to create shocking or baiting titles, content, thumbnails in order to rake in money. And I think that's fucked up. I think that's fucked up on behalf of the crafters of the algorithm. I think that's fucked up that we live in a media environment where billionaires and trillionaires have bought the shit up, that are creating these kind of like psychographic profiles on us to see what makes us upset, what do we do when we're upset, what do we buy when we're upset, etc., 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 and making money off that shit. I even likened it to the casino, and you're pulling it and you got an endless feed and endless refresh. We know that the nigga yelling and veins popping out the neck and all that shit. Some of my most vitriolic and excitable videos are the highest viewed videos. Like my Jack Harlow video where I'm standing up and I got the coat on and I'm yelling at him and I'm doing all this stuff. That immediately went crazy. Not just because Jack Harlow was viral, but because I was angry. So whether it's baiting or rage baiting or clickbaiting or whatever, we all do it in the space. We're all incentivized to do it in the space. And that was my larger point of view.
Word. And yet, of course, she's correct. And also, Lupe Fiasco is like a professor at MIT. He is a smart man. So it is a little bit surprising when he's like, oh yeah, I read all of it. And like, I want to respond to all of it. And I'm like, but dude, you know they're just trying to piss you off. Alright, so this is my list of games. I don't know if you can even see this. Let's choose a game. Let's choose another Super Nintendo game. Unless you guys are happy with Donkey Kong. But I got Castlevania 4... Battletoads, Chrono Trigger. It's been a while, and I have to figure out where I am. Matter of fact, if any of you are Chrono Trigger players, or like super fans, and you can tell me where I am, that'd be helpful. Clay Fighter, Claymates. I loved stop motion, dude. Ever since I was a little kid, still my favorite form of animation, and so any game that had it. We got Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, of course. Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, Final Fantasy 3, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, Kirby's Dream Land 3, Zelda Link to the Past. That's another one where like I don't remember what I'm doing or where I am. Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Mario RPG. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Super Metroid. You know what? I have played Yoshi. I played Yoshi's Island on my Switch. I can play a little Yoshi's Island. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Being like, let me zoom out and actually try to unify this conversation has always been my angle, and it's particularly the angle that I take on Culture United, because oftentimes, as y'all know, not only am I Gen Z, but based on my personal upbringing, I don't have the repertoire or like the deep lore and knowledge and history of a lot of these hip-hop moments, but I do bring in a worldview and a politic and kind of a socio-economic, social justice kind of angle, and I feel like that's valuable too, which is why I feel like Justin even tapped me for the gig. That's what I contribute to the space. So why would I ever zone in on one individual creator that I'm like peer-to-peer with, or like I'm horizontal to, or whatever?
That's a good point. Just because he's smart doesn't mean he's not stupid.
I have like one of the smallest channels of like people involved in the space. Oh. If you go to my profile right now, I got 2 like hour-long videos on fucking Love Island. It's a Love Island summer right now. I'm literally watching Love Island right now. Because I also have a show with my sister, Watch It Sister, where we watch reality TV and we give our thoughts. Like, you won't find no fucking drama about no Lupe shit or whatever. Now, around the beef, I had a lot more
Hold on. Watch It Sister. Because that looks like a channel I need to know about. Me and my baby girl, we watch Love is Blind. Watch this sister. Sister's Watch? No. Oh, here we go.
Introducing the boldest.
Because I can't convince her to watch Love Island. Damn it. Oh, damn, you really ain't got nobody.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the first.
All right, 3 weeks ago. All right. So they talk about all the contestants. All right, cool. Good to know. I was just like, oh my god. Yes, this is Pinkerbell. This is Super Mario World 2 for Super Nintendo, aka Yoshi's Island. As a child, Super Mario World was the first game I ever had because Super Nintendo came with that console. That was the first console I got. So I love that game. I played it. The only thing about that game is there's a time limit on each level, and I am terrified of time limits. So I was very anxious playing it, and then when I got Donkey Kong Country, there was no time limit. And that's one of the many reasons I love Donkey Kong Country. So there was no time limit, so I wasn't anxious playing it. When I went to Toys R Us, and they had the display cases, the demos for Super Mario World 2, I was like, oh my god, and it's called Yoshi's Island? I love Yoshi. It was my favorite part of that game. I'm all in, and I played it at Toys R Us, and I became disappointed because Mario was a baby. I didn't really like the art style at the time. I didn't like playing as Yoshi. I thought I was going to play as Mario again. Just it would be more, have the Yoshis more involved in the story. And the sound that Mario makes when you get hit and he floats off your back and is like taken away is panic inducing. And there's a timer to go get him, and if you don't, you lose. And that was way worse than a timed level for me. So I never played this game until many, many years later when I discovered emulators in college, and instead of paying attention in class, I was playing Yoshi's Island on my laptop with a mouse and keyboard, or rather a trackpad and keyboard. Actually, no, it was just keyboard because all the buttons are keyboard connected, so I wasn't even using the mouse. So I played it a little bit then, and then more recently on the Switch and the Nintendo Online, I actually finally beat it. So I did play it all the way through. I'm an adult. I can handle time limits a little bit better now. But yeah, that is my little story about about Yoshi's Island. A beloved game that so many people are like, this is one of the best games ever. The art style was amazing, the parallax scrolling and shit, and it bumped up against me. I like the concept of whole civilization of dinosaurs on an island collaborating to help two random babies.
Videos around Drake and Steak and like trying to draw out these larger views of like, it's a lot of MAGA adjacent shit in the space. It's a hip hop is red pilled. If that's like your introduction to me, like you get that. So I would never be singling out an individual and disparaging them and speaking on their pockets. That's just not my character. And I feel like we really have to interrogate why we want to take the most bad faith interpretation of somebody in the space. When you've been praising me and you've been watching me and you've been clocking my every fucking move and you're talking about me in the discords and shit, but you can't come talk to me and have a conversation, be like, yo, did you say what I thought you said? Was that about me? Can we talk it out real quick? Can we clear this up real quick? Instead of immediately rushing in front of a camera to talk to a live chat. I don't even be in the spaces like that. I popped into a spaces this week to try to catch up on the Lupe drama because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I get invited on the stage and I'm like, oh shit, does this mean I can speak? I need to figure out the whole spaces shit. And I did just
I don't know
create a
what
Discord.
any of that shit is.
I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the description so y'all can join. Don't bring no mess to my front door. Don't bring no fucking mess to my front door, but I would like to be in the know.
Yo, I'm joining the Discord right now. Boom. Give me a different screen. Let me not put this up on that screen. There we go. And yeah, Twitter Spaces, I still don't know how that works. Who listens to that? Who listens to that? Who's like, I'm going to sit down with a bowl of popcorn and hold my phone and listen to a fucking radio show? Who does it with TikTok? Like, when someone's streaming on TikTok, I'm like, who is sitting there at home just watching an hours and hours and hours long stream on their fucking phone? Yeah, you can have it on your desktop, but the shit is not made for desktop. I'm also definitely not... Yeah.
I would like to be connected to folks. If anybody wants to be a mod, hit me up in the DMs, YouTube DMs, IG DMs, whatever, because I've heard that if you want to have a Discord, you got to have mods in the space. I don't even know how that shit fucking works. But yeah, it's really disappointing to me that, as a black woman who has an opinion in the space, as a black woman that isn't so cutesy and putting shit together for male comfort or for the male gaze, that this is going to be the knee-jerk response. Whereas like niggas in the space can get a lot of grace and they can get passes and they go, oh, he didn't mean it like that. Oh, you know how he is. He didn't mean it like that. But when it comes to the ladies in the space, it's like, oh, that bitch. Oh, she called me broke. Oh, I ain't even gonna say her name. Blah, 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 blah. It don't have to be all that.
Hell yeah, free arcade in the Best Buy. Yeah, man. Remember that? Remember we used to have like little try out the game. Best Buy was the first time I tried Mario Sunshine. And I was like, damn it, this is going to be the first 3D Mario I have. Because I never got 64 for some reason. And the mechanics were all about the water cannon on his back. And I was like, but this isn't like a true Mario 3D game because there's a different mechanic. It's the second 3D Mario game, dude. They didn't even... I also didn't like Luigi's Mansion because of that, too. I thought it was going to be a platformer, but it was not. And it also legit scared me. A lot of the space shout-outs. Yeah. You fit a lot on the vertical screen? Yeah, I do, right? I think it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good layout on the vertical screen. And a lot of people, scrolling through YouTube, the TikTok version of YouTube. I've heard that, in a lot of commentary, they're like, do I need to put like a tempo run on the screen for you to pay attention because of ADD? I'm like, dude, this is how I operate anyway. I need to have like a video game going for my thumbs to be doing something. Like, that's why I have a Switch. That's why I love the Switch, because I can play on my TV, sure. But if I'm watching TV with my lady, I'm just like, let me play a little Donkey Kong. I just need a little Donkey Kong. Nintendo was on this strange domestic activity kick in the early 2000s. Domestic activity? You mean Yoshi's taking care of Mario?
It don't have to be all that, because I didn't even know what the fuck was going on with the Lupe situation. Tried to do a little bit of due diligence before the interview so I wouldn't look like Boo-Boo the fucking fool when they're asking questions. I pull up, and for the first 50 minutes, we're just talking about lyricism and how people define it and parts of speech and literary devices and shit. That was the first hour.
God, there's so many fucking ads.
Yesterday was amazing. Rachel was determined to live her life.
Meanwhile, my kid's favorite game is Power Wash Simulator. Put him to work outside. You want to play Power Wash? Go Power Wash outside for real. The Wii was dangerous. The Wii was dangerous if you didn't, like, people really think technology's magic sometimes. We're like, oh, it'll be fine. just hold on tighter than you would think you need to. Just do that. But I don't think I need to. But just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. I took the straps off of my Wii thing because I'm like, I'm not an idiot. I am not going to throw this at the TV. And thankfully, none of my friends ever threw it. Because we were smart. No, flood cleaning and sunshine the vacuum on Luigi's Mansion. Chibi Robot was all about housework later. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. But I have since beaten Mario Sunshine. Actually, I beat it on GameCube. I got it for GameCube. I liked it more than Luigi's Mansion because at least it was a platformer. And not as like scary. I'm not even kidding, dude. Luigi's Mansion gave me panic. Same way like Resident Evil gave me panic when I played it on GameCube.
And then, of course, Justin, with his journalistic technique, kind of eases in and says, okay, so like battle rap versus mainstream. Can we compare them? And then we inch into it a little bit further. So do you think 100 MCs is better than you? And then we inch a little further into it. I think it was a really good interview. I think you have to understand what the medium of Culture United is, though, at the same time. People are begging for accountability and not really detailing what that actually looks like, or not even understanding the space. Justin was a former editor-in-chief of Hip Hop DX. Just a couple weeks ago, he was moderating a panel at the Grammy Museum. He's gonna come to this interview and to this space with a different angle, with a more journalistic angle, with a more curious angle, with a more, I'm gonna ask an open-ended question and let the person kind of just give their spiel. Now, if you disagree with their spiel, or you feel like it was a bunch of word salad or deflection or it was lies, you have to take that up with Lupe. Like, I don't know what you want me to do or say, but I felt like listening to, kind of how combative some interviews with him got informed the way that I showed up. I literally told Moko, I said, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of take a seat back because I'm not a big super fan. I don't really have a dog in this fight. I absolutely love Kendrick, and so if I hear something crazy about Kendrick, I'll say something about that. But I think we just gave him the platform to speak his mind. And I think it turned out to be a really good interview. Whether you agree or disagree, that's up to you. But I just think that for the purpose of Culture United and for the purpose of us as co-hosts and hosts, I think that it achieved our goal. Now, something that I do want to address that I had no idea about, people kept spamming ABSA in the chat, and I was like, what is this with ABSA? Like, at first I thought people were saying he had issues with Absol, and I was like, okay, what's the issue with that, whatever. And then I keep seeing people say ABSA, and then I saw a super chat finally. We got to the second show, and somebody did a super chat that was like, okay, but what about this situation with ABSA? I still don't know the details on that, but from what I'm surmising, Lupe called ABSA a bitch. He called her out of her name. That is completely unacceptable. And I think Justin mentioned on the panel that Lupe's conversation with Skip and Jashawn, they immediately jumped on that. And I wasn't able to catch that either. Like, there's hours and hours and hours and hours of footage and context and background that I totally tapped out of. I literally graduate next month. There's just a lot going on in my life right now. But apparently, Lupe called this black woman out of her name, and that is fucking unacceptable. Please believe, when that comment came up, I said, oh, absolutely not. I don't feel any type of way saying that's absolutely unacceptable. We know all well, men can't call women bitches. You cannot do that if you're outside of that group. I do not give a fuck. White people can't say niggas, niggas can't say bitches. That's it. There's no debate there. And there's no defense of it. But you already knew that. If you're watching this video, you already knew that. You already know where I stand on that. Now, I didn't know the context enough to be coming up in the situation, banging my chest, being like, justice for ABSA. But for damn sure, anybody speaking on any of the people I know and the peers in this space, especially another black woman, you will get pow-pow for that. That's absolutely unacceptable. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the—
You're saying at the zero, what kind of hacks? Well, at the zero in the game, the Baby Mario gets taken away and you lose a life. It is, I mean, is that not one of the most, like, anxiety-inducing sounds? Him crying.
These conversations stoke malice and vitriol and negativity, and then he just kind of floats away and we're left to kind of pick up the pieces. Which is why I ignored this shit in the first place. Because it seems like rinse and repeat, hanging out in people's lives, hanging out in people's comments, jumping up on their live, saying something incendiary. That incendiary thing goes viral. Now we're talking about the incendiary thing and not about the fucking music. Did this not happen a couple years ago? Did this not happen a couple months ago? So I think our tactics and strategies might be different within the space, and we have to respect that. I think we may say things that get misconstrued or misunderstood, and I think what we should do is talk peer-to-peer with each other and get that shit clarified, instead of rushing to a camera and making a bunch of assumptions about somebody. It's really disappointing to me. I stand 10 toes behind Culture United and how we handled that situation, because if you wanted to see somebody kick Lupe's back in, go watch the 7 or 8 other fucking interviews he did where that happened. If you want to see battle and smoke and all this shit, there are so many interviews and lives and spaces and shits he did that you can actually get from that. But that's not what you're gonna get at Coach United. Even when we had Big Jaw on there and we were talking about the lesbian homie, and me and Elle like had critiques for him and shit, at no point did we say, you stupid ass nigga, why the fuck would you make a, that was dumb as fuck. That's just not how we come. That's not ever how we're going to come. And if that disappoints you, if that makes you have to unsubscribe and do all this shit, then fine. If not, we'll see you Wednesday. But I am going to stand up for my co-hosts, Elle and Justin. I do think that their soft spot for Lupe and them being fans for Lupe maybe informed the way they showed up as well. But I also think that there was curiosity and integrity, and there was a journalistic value to what we did. And I stand by that. Now, after this, if you feel even more confused, or you feel that I didn't clarify things, or whatever the case may be, please DM me,
this level.
or hit me in the Discord that I just created, or hit me on the YouTube DMs, and we can have a conversation. If you want to hop on a live, I probably won't do that, because I just am not here for the spectacle of us duking the shit out. But we can send an audio message, we can DM. This shit don't have to be bigger than what it is. And I think a lot of y'all have issues with Lupe, and I think in some cases for good reason, in some cases it's a little bit overblown.
I never follow the usual path. Like nature, they shift.
But take that up with that nigga. I don't have no dog in that fight. But the dog that I do have in the fight is CU. It's Culture United. It's the community that we've cultivated over there. It's the mods, shout out the mods. It's the friends of the shows that reach out to me and have my back in the chat and don't let people call me bitches and all types of disparaging things out of my name, that don't let my character be maligned, that extend grace and good faith to me. And to y'all, I say thank you. Because I think that's what we're all owed in this space before we get to jumping and wiping our faces with rags and shit and jumping up and down. With that being said, I've said my piece. I'm not speaking about this again publicly. If you want to talk about it, hash it out, send me a DM. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to my reaction channel with my fiance Mogo at BK and Mogo. Tap into Watch It Sister if you fuck with reality TV and you've been tapping into Love Island. We got shit coming on to the Patreon. Y'all, I gotta get through the semester first. We'll get to it. I had a great birthday. Thank y'all for all the birthday wishes. I think that overall, the conversation on Culture United that happened on Wednesday night was good. And the second show, we were able to kind of dive into some things and clarify some things too. I think there was a lot of value in that conversation. I encourage you to watch the whole thing instead of getting into the stand wars of it all. I know people ride for they niggas or whatever, but yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna put the Discord link in the description below. Join me up on there. If you have any pro tips on Discord, also please let me know, because it's kind of the Wild Wild West for me over there. But I love y'all. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. And also, in the next video, I'm working on an outline about some of my favorite women rappers in the space. If y'all did not catch part 1 of that, where I gave my top 10 female rappers in the space, make sure you go check that out. I'm doing kind of an honorable mentions video where it's like, they didn't make the first video, but that don't mean that they're not fire. So make sure you check that out when it comes. I'll make sure to let y'all know. And child, I'll see y'all in these streets. See you.
Word. can go with this. First, before we do another one of hers.
I guess we're only supposed to support black women who fuck with the liberal establishment.
Yeah, word. This one's about Jasmine Crockett. But I wanted to give, so Company Man, who's the guy who hosts Culture United, he did a little this is, I think, actually a segment from...
If you're studying from a class presentation...
From the show? Let me see here.
I'm excited. This is an incredible panel.
So this is the art of lyricism, like they're discussing that. But this is more relevant. This is Lupe Fiasco on why people think he's a hater.
Well, I think from...
So let's dive into there. And this is Dewan. Dewan is like a music history genius and knows like everything. He's how I know like he said something one week about like I know Yoshi. Look, we don't know Yoshi's ties to Epstein or not, okay? He's moving these babies around on a deserted island for undisclosed reasons, and I don't think we've looked into it enough. You know, there's a lot of redactions in those files. We don't know if Yoshi's name appears. But Dewan knows like a lot about music history. El Janelle is like super smart and measured, and of course we know BK already. And I'm trying to introduce y'all to them because I really think they're really. This is my dream. I have the same dream as Matt the Letter Hack. All right, I have the dream of connecting all of us. Okay, because there's people over here who need to be connected to like Sam Cedar and the Vanguard, who need to be connected to like FD and Olay, who need to be connected to Hassan, who need to be connected to... Get this network up. You know, that's what the dream of this space is. So we can have this network. Hey, this thing's always running. If you ever want to jump in on camera and there's syndicated stuff, just jump in. The car, that's how Matt described it. The car's always going. It's just who jumps in the driver's seat each time. And I think we need that. And even in lieu of that, I just think all of these networks of from entertainment to straight politics to like YouTube drama slop, like the Vanguard kind of goes with, but also even more YouTube-y stuff like Philip DeFranco. Like all of this needs to be connected because the right wing has already done that, and we've seen the fucking damage they've caused. Yes, PK, come on this space challenge. I'm trying. I'm trying to invite anybody I can, boy. For real, dude. It's really a brilliant thing that they put together that, you know, I hope continues and I believe will continue. I just think we need to get a little more organized ourselves. Because Gina's like, you know, talk to the angry ginger. And I'm like, hey, man, you coming back? Like, now that you're back streaming? And he's like, you know, I reached out to Matt. I'm like, well, nobody told you that Matt stepped away. Come back on Discord. Like, everybody needs to have the fucking Discord. Okay? It's a group chat. Just think of it like a group chat. It's not Boston Brian. Get on Discord. Anyways. So, yeah, this is the why he's considered a hater.
Well, I think
and we're going to beat this level.
From a Lupe fan perspective, right?
And then we'll move on to another game.
In the Lupe fan community, I'll say this. For the Lupe fan community, I've probably been the most consistent journalist writing about Lupe Fiasco for the longest time. That's still doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I get a lot of feedback from Lupe fans all the time. My DMs be hit up with people I've been going to Lupe shows with in multiple cities for years. And people keep asking me, why does it look like Lupe is putting himself in positions to make people look at him as if he's a hater, as if he's elevating these people who are critical of him? And I never really have an answer other than, you know, I understand the value of protecting your name, but I'm looking at Billboard magazine today or yesterday, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, is this a headline that actually makes sense for what it is that Lupe actually feels?
BK, you were gonna chime in? I'm address something with Billboard directly, but BK, you gonna chime in?
I was just gonna say, just speaking to like, I think the medium, especially on YouTube and Twitter, in this period of late stage capitalism.
Purina, over 100,000 quality checks every day. 100% confidence in every bowl.
Ciao! We have some delicious sparkling water crafted in Italy.
You're gonna love this. It's got all the bubbles.
Niggas is broke and need money at the baseline.
See, okay, so that's the comment she was addressing. She said, people are broke and need money. It's a humorous way of saying, we all live in this world of late-stage capitalism. We all need to make money. We're all going to put whatever in the thumbnail. Look at my thumbnails, bro. Look at my thumbnails. Fine, I'll do it myself. Thanos fist, right? It's me looking goofy and ridiculous in each one. Provocative words on there. Tip of the hat to the king. Jay-Z's best album. YG takes men to therapy. Do I like Olivia Rodrigo? Punisher and Spider-Man versus Hulk and Jean Grey? Like, I don't know if that's the movie. I don't think that's the plot, but I'm going to put in the title to get you to fucking click on it. It's what we do. We're trying to make it out here in these streets, these YouTube streets. So yeah, for some YouTuber to take that as an offense is childish.
Late stage capitalism. Niggas is broke and need money at the baseline.
Niggas be broke.
And
super facts.
And the medium rewards rage bait. And if it rewards rage bait by boosting your SEO in the algorithm, that means more eyeballs, that means more money. And so, of course, it's just a breeding ground for hitting at the root of humans and like human emotions. Like Lupe just said, like, I'm a human being. And so when I see my face on a thumbnail, I'm gonna click it.
Hate the game,
right?
not the
Like
plan. Yeah.
It's like it hijacks you, no matter like how much
Exactly.
you know and how aware you are and how like cognitive you are of the meta, like it's still gonna maybe hit that nerve. And so I would invite everyone to like use the block button more and the mute button more. That's been like my saving grace, because I love to like jump down people's throat, especially, oh my God, like Drake stands in period, but like the Drake fans that have like circled back to one of my videos that's in that bitch, I'm responding to every single one of them. So like I'm
Scrolling the YouTube feed is exhausting. It's just when people take important news about world events and turn it into goofy clickbait that make, oh yeah, like music reviews and culture stuff, that's fine. Yeah. I'm not gonna, can you believe what Israel did? Oh, in the thumbnail? Dude, I'll listen to an album, oftentimes behind the scenes. Oftentimes, the way I make those little like things of me going like, is in the beginning, before I record a review or a reaction or whatever it is. I'll do that. However, whatever I think I'm going to think about the album. And then sometimes by the end of the album or song, I'm like, that's inappropriate. This song is heavier, or this album is heavier than like that kind of thumbnail. So let me do something like I'm thinking about it, or like, something a little more subdued. You know what I mean? And that's for a reaction to a fucking song or a trailer, not political world events. Yeah. This is it. Is Trump did what to the trans community? Like, no, come on.
no better than the nigga that's on the fucking thumbnail or whatever the fuck. But I think it is curious to, wrap it back to like Justin's point, why this same kind of story of like Lupe and Dot, or Lupe and the word resentment, or whatever, keeps getting brought up. There's a bait element. There's a like, I think still getting to the root of like that real human emotion of like, I'm just not gonna sit here unless you fucking say shit that's like disparaging to me or untrue or whatever. So I don't know. I think that it's symbiotic. The people want the rage bait. You participate in it because you can't help it to a certain extent because that's just a part of the human condition. Like, it's really fucked. And then the larger part of it is just like niggas is broke and rage bait pays the bills. Like that just kind of is where the medium is right now.
So I know Elle's gonna chime in on one of them points because she has some facts to add to that, but I'll give you a couple anecdotes and respond at whole. One is it's intentional because coming from the streets, I live by the mantra, keep your enemies close. So I want to know what you're doing. So I follow my stalker back so I know where she is.
All right. It's a little paranoid. I mean, I feel you. And like, you know, most of what I know, actually all of what I know about Lupe Fiasco and his career and his life is from an FD Signifier video that's like 3 hours long. Where is that one? Hey, look, this space posted the full Boston Brian. Hell yeah. Who's this? I keep getting these... dude, this fucking Vince Staples album. So fire. FD Sig. FD Sig. Yeah, so this is from like a year ago. And it's hard being a Lupe fan. And this is like, tells his whole story, his career, maybe why he's difficult to love, you know. I mean, he has a similar video like this about Lauryn Hill. And yeah, that's where I know like his history. And then having listened to the albums recently, I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get that. Might be part of the human condition, but we don't have to tailor an algo to feed it exactly. And yeah, sure, if somebody started making videos of like, here's Devil's Advocate Productions and everything he said wrong about Superman, about The Boys, about this or that, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna follow you, probably on a burner account, and be like, who are you? What's going on? What's this? And I get that. But then, yeah, to respond to every mean comment, I get a few mean comments in my videos. I get a few mean responses on Twitter. You know what I do? I like each one, and that's it. Because I like them so that it's engagement, because it's engagement, and because me liking it is more engagement. So maybe I'll get more followers out of that. And also, like, whatever, I don't care. You know, a lot of people my age do still respond to mean comments and stuff. And I never understood that because, you know, listening to Call of Duty lobbies on Xbox back in the day, or Halo, you know, you're just going to hear the N-word flung around a bunch, or just like the meanest thing I can think of to say to you because I'm 11 and I want to get a rise out of you and my parents aren't listening. Okay, fine. I grew up on South Park and Eminem. There's no way you're going to really piss me off with words. But I understand why other people do. And I'm not trying to be like, you're soft, get over it. Like, no, it's fine. Oh, they can be mean. They can try. Mostly it's people, either some of the Jay-Z reactions where I'm like really harsh and being like, hey, you fucking billionaire piece of shit. And they're like, you're not listening to the music. I get a lot of that. You're not really listening to the music. I got some of my first mean comments were from a Pink Floyd reaction. Because I'm playing a video game while I'm listening to Pink Floyd. What more am I going to say about Pink Floyd? The guitars are great. This sounds awesome. I love this. I'm praising it the whole way through. I don't know. I fucked your mom joke has already been told. Yeah. And I would be the first one to tell it about my mom. when someone would say, fuck, I'd fuck your mother, I'm like, please, get her out of the house. Please. Like, it's, you know.
Right? I follow the people that have the vitriol and the whole thing. Not follow them like click follow, but I keep tabs on them because you keep your enemies close. Right? Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So I know I got my fans, and I'm gonna pay attention to y'all, but we got some real shit going on over here. And
Yeah, but keep the fans closer.
I talked to somebody about this yesterday, El, when we were on the phone, right? Fans get their artists killed. Fans get their artists killed. Now this goes back to your point, Justin. Let's take Billboard, for example. And we'll talk about Billboard and fan responsibility, then I'll land the plane, right? I had a Reebok deal back in whenever, 2010, right after maybe 2009, wherever it was. I had a whole Reebok campaign. It was me, Mike Jones, Lil Wayne, Daddy Yankee,
Mike Jones. I remember Mike Jones.
All these rappers had these shoes, and so I did some press. I had billboards across the city, across the country, blah blah blah. Right?
Come on.
So everybody knows I'm on Reebok. Billboard magazine puts me on their cover. On the cover of that magazine, they have me on a skateboard and some streetwear and some Nikes. Right?
Jesus Christ.
Reebok sends me a cease and desist. And basically just from that billboard cover, because they chose a photo while I was wearing Nikes, Reebok basically terminated my deal.
Wow.
So I was going back and forth with Reebok, talking to Billboard. It was a innocent mistake but it's a matter of how they operate too. Billboard doesn't do photo shoots for their cover. They pull from the press photos that the label takes. The label sent Billboard,
we're finished.
Here's all these photos, y'all can choose whatever y'all want. They chose a photo of me wearing Nikes. It destroyed my Reebok career. The deal was done. It was cooked. Reebok was like, that's fucked up. Is this? And I explained to them. I was like, I'm talking to Billboard, like, hey, can you talk to Reebok and let them know that this is how y'all operate, this is what y'all do. They weren't trying to hear none of that shit.
So you guys are just like...
All right, so we at least know the Super Nintendo works. So let's try out... Let's try out the Game Boy. Let's try out the Game Boy. Let's see if this one works. I don't even have that many Game Boy games. Because when I think about it, I'm like, what do I even want? Like, what Game Boy games do I even want? Alright, so does this work? Let's see here. Nope. Alright, we're gonna use the other capture device. No. Is that not gonna work? Bro, that's crazy. You play the OG Pokemon Blue on your giant TV? Oh, dude, that would have been awesome. That sounds awesome. Oh, here we go. Visual Boy. There we go. So we got Fire Red right here. And where is this? This is somewhere into the game, right? I forget. I bet that's an experience. Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. Like, you could do that back in the day. Because if you had a Super Nintendo, they had a cartridge that had a slot for Game Boy cartridges. So you could put a Game Boy cartridge in, I think it was called like Super Game Boy. Something like that. And then you could play your Game Boy games on your Super Nintendo on the TV. Nintendo was always trying to get that. Like, play a game on your TV and also handheld. Same game. And I've had that dream since I was a kid. I'm sure Miyamoto has too. That's why the Switch exists.
So I was cooked. Right? I didn't do anything. I got cooked. That's
the
another
controller's
kind of
not
like,
working.
I'm just, you may think that I'm being like saucy, or I want the photo shoot with the dope blazers, and I want the new Nikes.
All right. So that works, but I think I have to use, I can bind the keyboard to it. And for Game Boy, it's not that bad. At least for that game, because it's a RPG. You have a Genesis? All right. Maybe I should get Sonic, but that's the same thing. When I'm thinking like, let me get a Sega system, because I never had Sega as a kid. I'm like, okay, cool. What games do I get? Sonic? Okay, but I have Sonic Mania, and that's like arguably the best version of any of those old Sonic games. And then, what else? What else was Sega exclusive that was better than anything on Nintendo? It's hard pressed for me to find an answer to that. Okay, let's try out GameCube. Let's see if this still works. Install update. Do I want to? Update after closing Dolphin. Well, speaking of Sonic. Is this not gonna work? Come on. I also got to get it to like appear on the stream. And this is taking a second. There we go. How's that? This is the only Sonic I actually have nostalgia for. I had it on GameCube as a kid. I'll never forget, I think it was like 8th grade. It was the end of an era at my one school that I was at since kindergarten. We all had a big sleepover in the auditorium, and then I went home. It was the first time I ever stayed up till dawn. And then I went home and I played the shit out of this game. The Chow Garden being my favorite thing. Raising Chow. I printed out from Game Facts like 50 pages on how to raise particular chows and stuff. Alright, how's the sound? Not too loud? Turn it down a little bit. 35, there we go. Oh, that music. And
our shoes are kind of whack. You may think that, but that wasn't the case. I emptied my closet, had a number of Reeboks, and this photo shoot that I did prior to me signing to Reebok came back up, and it cost me my Reebok deal. Right? Fan responsibility. And we gonna keep it real gangsta and real greasy with my fans. And y'all know I love my fans. But love is to correct, protect, and respect with correct. When the fans wanted to do the petition, they did that petition.
I put so many hours into playing Pocahontas over and over, The Lion King and Aladdin too. Dude, the Disney games were really hard. Notoriously hard. Because they were made by game developers who were like, well, we want to make it challenging for us. And didn't think about the audience of mostly like little kids who are going to be playing Lion King. And there's also not perfect like hit detection on those games. Aladdin was sick though. Aladdin was sick. Hard as shit. Never got past like level 2 or 3, but fucking dope. I didn't know they made a Pocahontas one though.
I had nothing to do with that petition.
All right.
When they sent that petition to the label looked at me like I had something to do with it. I was like, I'm not antagonistic. That's just the fans. We looked at it like, okay, cool.
I forgot how to get all the secrets and stuff in this
Then when
game,
they turned around and they did the protest, it was like, I have nothing to do with that protest, but now I'm faced with this thing. I have to choose.
See, this works fine.
And I either have to choose my fans or the label. Because I can't do nothing. And I chose the fans. Right? And NYPD kicked me out of the building at Atlantic. I wasn't allowed to go back in the building. And when I tell you that it destroyed little pieces and parts of my relationship with the label, it was cooked. On top of them trying to force me to do a 360 and everything else, they feel embarrassed about what just happened. Cooked. 2014, when I couldn't get a release date for Tattoo on Youth, the homies Anonymous, shout out to my homies, they're my homies. When the word kind of got out that Lupe they were playing with people's release dates, Anonymous stopped fighting North Korea and the Ku Klux Klan and sent a letter to Atlantic and said, hey, if you don't release Lupe Fiasco's album, we're gonna dox the entire label.
That's actually crazy.
The label blamed me because they said I did it. They said I called Anonymous and told them to do the thing, and I know Anonymous through Occupy Wall Street. They were a big part of that. They doxed me once, and the guy who did it, the heads of Anonymous, they doxed him. They kind of kicked him out of the spot because he felt a certain way about something I did at one of the protests. Regardless of that, when they did when Anonymous did the threaten to hack, and they we gave him a release date and dropped me from the album, dropped me from the label. One of the terms of getting off Atlantic was they reset the clock on all my masters.
For the pet that means everything to you, nothing less than high quality from Purina.
I'm trying to configure the controller.
So normally you get your masters at 10 years. This is real talk. I never heard this. I was saving this for the memoirs. But I give it to you because y'all my family. And the fans, so they can know the
It's
real
like calling up the CEO of Antifa. Yeah.
Because I was prepared to sit on Atlantic.
All right.
Right? When they told me that they weren't gonna push any of my records ever, or any of the records on Tattoo on Youth that I was trying to remake another superstar, do this, I pulled all them records off. You got Mural because it was like, y'all not gonna push this shit anyway, so I'm gonna make an 8-minute record about bars. Regardless of that, one of the terms of them letting me go because they felt it was hostile and I threatened the label is they reset the clock on all my masters. So when I was supposed to be getting Food and Liquor right now, because this 10-year thing ended, I don't know when I'm gonna see Food and Liquor. I don't know when I'm gonna get the Cool back. I don't know when I'm gonna get these lasers back. I don't know when I'm gonna get those masters because of that. Something I had nothing to do with. But it's from the fans.
Lion King was S tier.
Right? So that relationship between fan and artist, for some people who don't know, it can get very, very tricky. Right? Where fans are like, well, we're not going to support you unless you do this. We're not going to do this unless you do that. Or we love you so much. Like Lupe, we love you so much, we want to do, and they overprotect. And they wind up fucking up very kind of fragile negotiations and circumstances where the label felt threatened. And they were like, and I told the label, I said, look, don't do anything. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't respond. Right? Call their bluff. Right? But when you do that, law enforcement gets involved, all type of shit. And I always support the people, but I also learned from that experience to be very hands-off be very, like create some partitions and stuff like that. But yeah, those fan things, which are
That's
great moments
crazy.
and revolutionary, and they added to my mystique and the folklore. On a business side, I was getting destroyed in that label. And even to this day, Julie Greenwald, who's one of the most powerful women in music, to this day, still believes that I had Anonymous set up to get that album released and threatened to hack the label.
Do you regret choosing the fans in that moment?
If I knew what I was gonna go, I wanted to quit. I was gonna leave music. After the Cool, and we were going through all that stuff with the 360, and they told me they weren't going to release none of my records or promo my records, I was done. I was just going to float on through. And so you see that. You see, like, the protests come up, and it's like, and it's kind of like, damn, okay, cool, let's go. I didn't necessarily want Lasers to get released, to be honest. That's why I told people when people say I hated that album, this is why. Right, the shit I had to go through to put that album together and make that album work, and all of the things, like, it's all type of internal thing where I was trying to actively go to Def Jam.
Well, this is very interesting, by the way. But also, this game, this is the level I would go to over and over and over again, because it has like the best animals, or at least the animals that can clear the palate of your chow, so you can make it look like whatever you want again. So, the amount of times I ran around this level. But also, I don't remember, like, how to get all the items that you need to, like, unlock this shit, so you can unlock the other ranks in each level. I forget how to do that.
Brought in a whole other lawyer and a whole other team. It was
Might have
messy.
to go to Games
It was
Facts
very
again.
messy at that time, and it was kind of like, man, this is bad. But again, just going back to like fan responsibility and that, and we ain't gonna talk about drill music and fast forward to situations that ain't got nothing to do with me. We ain't gonna fast forward to all of the, Vibe Magazine, talking about fans, right? Vibe Magazine, when I did that Tribe Called Quest thing, which was the first thing that ever got me destroyed. Before I could even fly, they clipped my wings. I did an interview with Vibe Magazine. 3 months later, I got invited to do the VH1 thing by Q-Tip, by Busta Rhymes. And I went and did it. I fucked up the words, right? I was rehearsing. I got in that moment, I don't know, and I fucked up those few words, and I stumbled, kept it going, right? Everybody cool. They looking like, man, it's all good. I'm in the back embarrassed like a motherfucker. That same night, Vibe Magazine puts out a quote from the interview that I did 3 months ago that says, I never listened to Tribe Called Quest anyway. When that hit, the publicist at Atlantic, his name was Sidney Markinson, we got the editor-in-chief of Vibe Magazine on the phone.
Fuck.
And he was like, why would y'all do that? Because niggas was finna die. Niggas was turned up on some street shit. Niggas was turned up on some, and everywhere you went, if it wasn't that to that degree, Q-Tip called me screaming. He was mad than a motherfucker. So niggas was mad. It's niggas I don't fuck with to this day because of that. Who are some of y'all heroes? I hate them niggas. We got the editor-in-chief on the phone. Now this is the publicist of Atlantic. His name's Sidney Markinson.
I don't know how to get this
He'll
last
vouch for
one.
this. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, because he don't. Maybe I'm dragging people in, but I'm trying to give y'all the truth, the facts, so you know how I move and why I move. We went to his office at Atlantic. We called the editor-in-chief. Her name was Danielle or something like that. She was Elliot Wilson's wife.
Ugh.
Sydney was like, yo, why would you do that? Why'd y'all do that? Y'all know he did that interview like mad long ago, and it was in the context of him saying like, people always talk about Kick Push sounds like Tribe Called Quest, and even though it does, what I actually grew up on was 8-Ball and MJG and Scarface, and my sister used to play Tribe Called Quest, so I'm aware of it, and I'm a huge fan of Q-Tip. I was on the same label with
That is
Q-Tip at
filthy.
Arista when he was Kamala Abstract. So I love him. I listen
You always
to his
wanted to
albums,
meet a
I base my
celebrity
albums off
pretending
his
you know
albums,
who
right?
they are.
But that was a little bit past my generation, and we was in the streets. So she was like, y'all know that was the context for why he said that. Why would y'all clip that and put that out in the world like he's responding
Yeah, sorry, Pink.
to what happened at VH1? She says, and I quote, "What, you want to take it to the streets?"
When your perfect cat
That's
needs
crazy that
nutrition
a
for
studio
5
executive would
systems,
say that.
try Purina One Whole Body Support.
Watch all FIFA World Cup matches on Fox 1. Now available with YouTube.
That's crazy. Yeah, there was beeping on the level that I was on because the way Knuckles levels work is you're looking for pieces of the emerald, and there's a little radar on the bottom of the screen, and it'll start beeping when you're close. And I was close, and I was sitting right on top of it, but I couldn't find it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to back out of the level and go to the Chow Garden. Yeah. I feel you. I was on the same level as you, Pink. It's very annoying. We're playing a lot of games with annoying sound effects.
Tomato.
Yeah, tomato.
And I like Sydney, hang up the phone. I got so many stories of that. I got a story on Twitter when Twitter first started. When it first started, I got on it, I deleted it. Atlantic put me back on it. My man Busy, he was like, trust me, this is gonna be the next big thing. I was like, what the fuck is it? He's like, it's like your text messaging, but it's public. I'm like, all right, that sounds crazy. Got on it, right? It's the Wild Wild West. You don't know who's who, who's what.
We got 3.
I wake up one day.
You want a good, a
I'm
bad, and a normal. That's our goal.
I'm in New York. I'm getting destroyed in the press. Absolutely cooked from everywhere. All kinds of people. All these Beyonce fans. I'm getting destroyed. Who the fuck do you think you are? You ain't shit. You such and such. You just trying to ride off the hype. You da 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 da. I'm like, damn, I know Beyonce. And I know Jay-Z. I was just at their house. What are we doing?
You know what? I mean, look, today's not the day to do it. We're not doing a super long stream, but let me just show y'all what games I do have for GameCube. I have never, ever, ever played Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, so I do want to do a stream of that and like get into that. Like I said, on Super Nintendo, I have Link to the Past, and I'm somewhere in that game, and I don't know what to do next. Metroid Prime I want to go back to. The Star Wars Rogue Squadron doesn't work. It sucks. Smash Melee doesn't work either. But I do have Mario Sunshine. Matter of fact, let's pop that on. Let's see what we got going. There we go. Mario! God, where am I in this? Save state incompatible. Last time I played this was 2022. The save state created using the incompatible version of Dolphin. That's the problem too. I think that happened with like one of the like Metroid or something. So like again, if I'm getting further into one of these games and then I have an old save state, I can't load it. I have to start from the beginning.
Some guy created a tweet that says he put my name in it, so it looked like it was me, a photo of me, and then wrote,
all right, let's play some
Mario. Ain't the only one that got an album coming out.
Hey.
And then posted that as if it was me. And I got cooked.
I forgot this actually saves in the
like
game.
Destroyed. I was like, that wasn't me. Like, I'm trying to explain it. Ain't nobody trying to hit that because it's gone. Now, we talking about the Bayhive. Fuck quality. Fuck dot stands. Ain't nothing like the Bayhive. Nothing. Nothing like the Beehive, bruh. Trust me. Fast forward to 2 years ago. And the video's on YouTube, and I'll send it to you if you can't find it, if you can search for it. The guy who did that tweet did a whole video apologizing to me and explaining it. That he was just chasing some clout. But he didn't know it was gonna fuck me over like that.
What up, Gupta? How you doing?
And he's like, Lupe, I'm sorry. You know, for y'all that don't know, this happened a long time ago. I was young, I was stupid, and I did this whole thing. But that's 10 years, 20 years too late, my guy. So I got stories of fans and actual fans with no quotation marks who put me in the blender, bruh. Right? And at a certain point, I just stopped giving a fuck. Because it's like, if I say something, I get fucked over. If I don't say nothing, if it ain't even me, I get fucked over. So what's the difference?
Quality was another interview he did.
Academic question, academia, how rappers talk. I've yet to meet a rapper who doesn't think like me when it comes to putting down these bars, but I've yet to meet an artist of any caliber that has went through the shit I went through in the music business, period. And I know fucking damn near everybody. And I'm not saying minimizing people's situations or what they had, because I know people been through some terrible shit, worse than the shit I'm talking about. But that level of just kind of every album cycle intensity, he didn't even say it, but fuck him, bruh, it's bad. I'm landing the plane.
That was a cool insight, man. Again, I understand. And then even, this is another wrap-up of like, ooh, Kenny and Olay have another thing. But, so there was some shit on Twitter, discourse on Twitter about this, of course. And it got to, like, Punch of TDE being like, oh, you know, Kendrick said this or said that or whatever. And then Punch is like, dude, I love Lupe. I love Kendrick. We're all good. What are you talking about? Like, we had a phone call. We're all right. Gupta, you say, I ain't gonna lie, I don't even pay attention to most of the shit there leftist dudes say. That woman yesterday criticized Trump's business. Let me tell you something. If he was dumb, he wouldn't be rich. No, you can be dumb and rich, dude. He has $4 billion in the bank. You don't. Yeah, but that's because he's a criminal. He's the president. He legalized his own crimes. Like, is that clever? Sure, for a criminal. But, like, it doesn't take a genius to be like, oh, let me get in a position of power and be corrupt. You know? Yeah, I know. It's 2 hours. So, I'm going to do that on my own time. Ta-Nehisi Coates has a word for Kamala Harris. So, yeah, let's get into, let's get into politics. So, let's watch this PK video on Jasmine Crockett. He's very pro-American. No, Trump isn't anti-American. Trump hates the country because he hates the people in it, including his own voters. Gupta. If I was religious and pro-national like you, I would understand what he's doing. Well, yeah, he's being a nationalist. He's being a fascist. That's bad. It's no good. We like Mamdani over here. We like that kind of stuff. If you're rich, you can still be stupid and people will still kiss your ass. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's see what she has to say about Jasmine Crockett, and then we'll check out the Vanguard. See if they have any fun slop videos to react to.
Who support fucking genocide. Who don't want to buck the system. We can't be so married to the label black that we divorce ourselves from liberation. What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Look at the Material podcast. I'm your host, BK, and today I actually cleared my schedule for the day in order to sit and chat with y'all and make this video because I feel like the topic is really, really important. But before we get into the weeds of it all, let's do a little housekeeping. First of all, thank y'all for 13K. Thank y'all for every like, share, comment, subscribe. If you haven't, make sure you check out the Do I Look High reaction I just posted a couple days ago and the Iceman reaction. Both of those are from my joint channel that I have with my fiance and partner, Mogo. So make sure you check out our channel and check out those two videos. But it's been a minute since I've been able to like sit and do a full-fledged video. Life, school, work, I mean, there's a lot of stuff changing for me and cooking up behind the scenes that it's just requiring a lot more from me this season. So thank y'all for still supporting me, for checking out my weekly appearance on Culture United. Shout out the guy, shout out Justin, shout out Elle. I'm now a co-host on that show, so that's been really exciting. But yeah, I just wanted to just thank y'all for 13K. I had such low expectations for this channel, and so to see it, you know, steadily growing in the community that we're building, like I'm just so proud and I'm so thankful. I also want to let y'all know I will be cooking up some members only content and some Patreon content. It's gonna be way shorter and way less edited, way less produced, and I'm kind of doing this so that I don't have to let my thoughts go by the wayside. I have so many thoughts and so many opinions, but I don't always have time to do a live that I realize can go on for like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours.
Yeah, I'll link her channel. She's fantastic. We love BK. I'll throw that in the chat there for you. It's called Look at the Material with BK. Gupta, you say, we have 21 million illegal Bangladeshis in India. There is similar kind of politics about them. Nobody likes it. That's what I mean, though. Make immigration easier. There shouldn't be borders. You should be able to walk across borders, dude. Like, I don't even know. Here's my American eyes on your situation. Y'all look the same. Why are you even angry about that? You know what I mean? That's an ignorant American being like, why are you even angry about that? Y'all look the same. Just like, you know, why is Afghanistan and Iraq, like, not friends with each other? Why is, like, these two African countries not friends with each other? Why does Russia and Ukraine have beef? They look the same. Come on. You know, legal immigration. Make it easier.
Right? I don't have time to sometimes write a script or an outline, so I kind of want that to be my outlet for these short, you know, quick topics that I have. So honestly, I'm doing well. I'm thankful for the community. I'm thankful for 13K.
I have to fight Bowser right away.
For all the stuff that's cooking up behind the scenes and the stuff with Culture United. So I just wanted to get that out the way. Thank y'all so much for your support. It does not go unnoticed. Now on to the discussion at hand. I want to start this conversation by talking about a man by the name Hassan Piker.
Oh.
You might have heard of him. You might not have heard of him. I feel like majority of my audience is black, so you probably haven't heard of him, or if you have heard of him, you've heard he is a violent, anti-black, white leftist, and so you probably have avoided his content at all costs. I want to give a little background on Hassan because a lot of the content that I see around him is from people who either don't know shit about him or don't like him or have seen a bunch of clips out of context and are like, I'm definitely not associated with him. So I want to speak as someone who's a black woman, who's a leftist, who is also a Hasanabi head. I've been watching him for 4 or 5 years now. I don't watch him on Twitch. I mainly watch him on YouTube. And I feel like he is just a great vehicle to have this conversation about censorship, about the Trump regime and like the fascism that they have, you know, really stoked in this country. And this kind of conversation about black leftists versus black liberals. And honestly, as I'm watching these debates go down, as I'm watching, you know, a lot of this misinformation from the clip industrial complex come to life, I have to ask the question, are you more loyal to the signifier black that was given to you by a white supremacist social construct, or are you more loyal to liberation and what that looks like? Put a pin in that question and we'll circle back around to that. Just to give a brief little bio on Hassan, and it's not even really a bio, I'm gonna just tell you how I found the nigga and where he started and where he is now. You can go look him up on YouTube, you can go look him up on Wikipedia, whatever the case may be. But from my understanding, he started his media career at the Young Turks because his uncle, Cenk Uygur, started the Young Turks, which is like this progressive, left-leaning, independent media company that was started on YouTube, and they were like, we're unbought, we're unbossed. This is where you can get critical news outside of mainstream media that's going to be, essentially.
See, you know why this is really useful? Because, like, we're in it too much. We're in the stew. We know all these names. She's talking to an audience who mostly probably doesn't know who these people are. So, like, this is good context. And I like seeing how someone, she's been around. Like she said, she's been watching him for a couple years. But how she explains it to an audience who probably doesn't know, so I can learn how to explain it to an audience who might not know if I'm talking to somebody. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning. I'm always learning when I'm watching shit. I've been a Hassan fan for like a decade now. Jesus fucking Christ, being online makes me feel old. I understand. I know. I feel I shouldn't know these people's names, bro. I shouldn't know these people's names. I was watching an Olay video yesterday about, like, streamers and this weird drama of my girlfriend cheated on me with her cousin. I know. The title of the video is crazy, and the story was fucking crazy, too. And she was, like, rattling off these streamer names, and she's like, I should not know these people's names. And I can't tell you how many times watching YouTube over the last 10 years or so that I've been watching YouTube, 8 years, that I'm like, why do I know the intricacies of, like, Dan and Aaron from Game Grumps? Why do I know the intricacies of, like, The Completionist and Normal Boots and Peanut Butter Gamer and the dude who got canceled for like texting himself in a Sailor Moon outfit to some chick? You know what I mean? Fuck. Pro Jared. You know what I mean? What do I know about Gus Johnson and, like, that drama? And then I go and I look, and you're like, did Pro Jared, like, is he, like, done? When gooning ruins your life. Hey, March 23 this year, somebody made a new video about him. Which is fascinating to me because he hasn't been relevant for, like, 6 years. But then you go, hey, does he still have a career? Yes. He's just literally posting. As if nothing happened. Because the audience, for the most part, doesn't know something happened. That's my guess. Like, I don't even think he has, like, an apology video on here. Which, again, I wouldn't either. If my thing is video games and reviewing games, ain't no way I'm going to be like, oh, by the way, I did get canceled for, like, sexting somebody. No, I would leave it like this, too. But yeah, he still has almost 900,000 subscribers. Like, it's no big deal. But yeah, let's just finish this video.
Doing work for the State Department, doing work for imperialism and kind of the status quo, the establishment status quo. So they were kind of this, like, media alternative to that. Now, there are plenty of videos you can watch about kind of like the degradation of TYT, the poly market money that they ended up taking, Anna Kasparian, one of the co-hosts, and her being a TERF, like her saying transphobic shit and all this stuff. Like, there's a lot of, like, kind of left-wing infighting drama around that. This is not that video, but that is where Hassan started, right? What kind of popularized him whenever he moved away from the Young Turks and onto Twitch, he entered a very white male right-wing space and was a white male leftist in that space trying to pull people off of the right-wing trajectory that kind of captures young men. Now, if you have been tapped in, you know I have a video called Hip Hop is Red Pill where I talk about the red pill and the
That's a good video.
And basically how these communities online will draw young men in, turn them into these red pill fucking demons, and kind of sell them on this lie of, like, toxic masculinity and patriarchy and all that shit. Well, Hassan is kind of a person in that Twitch universe, in that very white male right-wing space that is using his aesthetics to kind of provide an off-ramp for a majority white, majority male audience.
Gupta, I did not go to public schools. I went to private schools. I went to schools with, like, famous people kids. And guess what? They were all woke.
That is basically his purpose in the space. Now, there are plenty of black Hasanabi heads like myself. I became a fan because of his style of communication. He's very vulgar, he's very blunt, he cusses a lot, he uses hyperbole, he uses satire. If you've been watching me, you know that's my style too. And so I was very attracted to that. Now, if you're not attracted to like vulgar, not safe for work, hyperbolic language and shit and rants and all this shit, you're probably not gonna like his content, and that's fine. The thing here is, it's not about whether you like Hassan or not, or whether you like fully agree with him or not. This man is anti-fascist, anti-white supremacist. This man is a class traitor. He's a multimillionaire that does his work in service of the proletariat, of the working class. He seeks to build class consciousness among the proletariat, and he seeks to organize the proletariat. So getting people from just being mad online to becoming door knockers or organizers or participating in mutual aid, etc., etc. Whether I like Hassan the Avatar or not, I agree with those positions. And if you agree with those positions, I feel like you should be a little bit more open to what he has to say, even if you don't fully agree with the way he does it. The reason I'm talking about Hassan is because he has become this avatar for the left. He's kind of a megaphone for the left. He is someone who has risen into prominence, particularly with electoral politics. He interviewed Zoran Mamdani whenever Zoran was at 1%. He interviewed Chris Rabb and campaigned with Chris Rabb out in Pennsylvania, who's a black male socialist out of Pennsylvania. And then Chris Rabb started to receive record number of fundraising to his campaign, door knockers to his campaign, visibility to his campaign. He's campaigned with Cori Bush, who is a black leftist who was kicked out of Congress by AIPAC for calling the genocide a genocide. He has campaigned alongside of Jamal Bowman, Summer Lee, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and other firebrands and insurgents that are going up against the establishment. Now, you know the establishment doesn't like that. The establishment does not want you to fuck with the status quo. Now, I think that when Hassan was just kind of like chirping online and wasn't really like going out and campaigning and shit, they were like, whatever. They even invited him to the DNC, the 2024 DNC, and they were like, hey, we need to reach young men. Let's get Hassan Piker. And then they end up kicking him out of the DNC for criticizing the fact that the Harris campaign would not allow a Palestinian speaker on the stage, which they previously vetted Ruha Roman's speech, and then said that she couldn't, be there. As he was criticizing the DNC for not taking a hard stance against the genocide, for being complicit, etc., etc., they kicked him out. And so he is not a friend to the establishment. And I think that something that he says all the time is, judge me by my enemies. And that is something that I think we need to tuck into our hearts. Who is attacking this person? And what do they gain from attacking this person? I want us to get away from the labels, get away from the white, get away from the male, get away from the black, get away from the whatever. We'll tie that back in later. And just think, why is this person on my screen right now?
Will be free from LA to New York.
Who's angry at them? Okay, well, what do they benefit from being angry at them? I want us to be more curious and critical about the media we're consuming. I want us to be more curious and critical about public servants and the people that we are base boosting and supporting. We got to get a little bit more critical. Now, Hassan really exploded recently because there is this centrist think tank called Third Way. They came at Hassan for campaigning with someone who is running in the Michigan primary, Abdul El Sayed. Now, Abdul is a Muslim man, Hassan is a Muslim man, and I feel like really the establishment was like, ooh, big scary Muslim niggas who are pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel and pro-Medicare for all and pro-labor, all this stuff. They come out and say the Democrats have a Hassan Piker problem. You don't need to be associated with him. You don't need to be campaigning with him. And then you're like, why the fuck are they coming for a Twitch streamer? And why are they coming for kind of like a lesser known guy that's running in the Michigan primary? Oh, because he's a valiant pro-Palestinian voice. Oh, because he's for Medicare for all. Oh, because he doesn't take corporate PAC money. And so then you start to see why the attacks are coming. Hassan is also kind of seen as this kind of burgeoning kingmaker within the Democratic Party, or kind of like the broader left flank, because when nobody really talking about Abdul before Hassan got involved, and then Abdul started surging in the polls past his opponents, and so they're like, whoa, you can't start affecting races like this. He did the same thing with Chris Rabb, like I said, with Zoran Mamdani. He kind of was, raising the profile of Summer Lee a little bit. She appeared on stream with him twice, who, mind you, is a black woman leftist from Pennsylvania that doesn't get as much promotion or love or
Summer Lee is
just
amazing.
Attention as I think she should. But
Alright, so that was GameCube. Let's try... Because our PS2 emulator, I think, is alright. Let's try that one. And we'll end with that one. Just warning y'all, when we're done with this video, that's going to be it for today. It's supposed to be short. Already went a little longer than I was anticipated. But yeah. You know, maybe we'll do a Vanguard, but I think just a BK Love Fest. That's a good Independence Day stream. I can't do GTA. You know what? I can try and get the emulator for GTA San Andreas. I can try and do that. Although I think I did try once. Let me see. I actually did. So let's see if that works. Let's see if that works, actually. That's a good idea. Shout out Gupta over on Twitch. Okay. Boost ISO. Oh, well, that's going to be Tony Hawk. No, let's switch ISO selector. Okay. ROMs. PS2 games. Grand Theft Auto. Let's see. Yes, swap disk.
Hassan has given that, right? Then, fast forward a couple months later, Fox News runs this story and says Hassan Piker is hit with a subpoena from the Trump administration for delivering aid to Cuba. You gotta ask yourself, well, why was Hassan in Cuba?
Oh, Edge, we're gonna keep going until we finish this video. But yes, thank you for coming in and hanging out. You and Pink, and Warhide and Larry and Gupta over on Twitch. Who else was over here on YouTube? Just you guys. Oh, Ghost Dog, of course.
And why was he delivering aid?
Going. Oh, here we go.
Aid to people in need. Why
All
are
right,
the Cuban
it works.
people in need? The Cuban people have been under a blockade and sanctions by the U.S. because they're a communist country, because they were allied with the Soviet Union, and because we are explicitly anti-communist, because we're explicitly anti-socialist. We punish countries and people who align with that. It really is what we are seeing is like modern day McCarthyism, and this doesn't just start in 2026. There's a lead up to this, but I think in part is you start to see with the student encampments, right? Where under the Biden administration, you had students that were like, hey, I want my school to divest from genocide. And Joe Biden not only looked the other way, he co-signed cops, National Guard, swarming these college campuses of unarmed students, sicking dogs on them for wanting a ceasefire, for wanting their school to divest from genocide. So they created a watch list of these students. They doxed them. They kicked them out of school. They expelled them. They took away their degrees, their diplomas. This was happening under the Biden administration, which rolled out the red carpet for this attack on the pro-Palestinian left.
All right, hold on. We're actually going to get a story here.
5 years on the East Coast. It's time to go home.
Oh, I'm having fun already.
This mama, she's dead, bro.
We get pulled over. This is all cutscenes. Hey, all right. So let's see if it works even. It do. Oh my god. You know, going back to the old dude. Also, there's some weird graphics thing happening. There's some kind of like layer over it. This is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Alright, so we can punch. Alright, the controls work. It's just this weird graphics thing where you can see like the skyline over everything. Alright, we're on the bike. But you know what? I can play like this. It's not that bad. All right. I'm excited now. Gupta, good call. Good call. I am going to. That's saved. All right, because I wanna play a little Tony Hawk before we end here. So I'm gonna load up Tony Hawk. But next time I'm streaming on here, I will be playing Grand Theft Auto, and we're gonna like get into it. Okay? Now that I know I can play it, and I know you've been asking for it, Gupta. So that's gonna be the next time I'm streaming on here for hours and hours. Maybe next week at some point, we're gonna be playing Grand Theft Auto.
Under the Trump administration. That should not be lost on anybody here. So backing up, he goes to Cuba with like 600 other people, but Fox News reports that him
it's like a
and
window
Medea Benjamin
reflection
from Code Pink are getting served a subpoena because they're like, oh, you stayed in a hotel that you weren't supposed to stay in and blah, blah, blah. Like, essentially, America has made it impossible for any country to do business with or trade with. They've got a blockade. They've got an oil blockade. They've got rolling blackouts, poverty, hunger. They got ventilators and shit going out of power in the middle of surgery and shit. Niggas gotta have backup generators to keep like NICU babies alive because the United States has said that Cuba is a threat. Now, the American State Department will say, oh, they're communists. And so when you have communist dictators, of course, this is what's gonna happen to you. That does not tell the full story. I'm not gonna go down the whole history of the US-Cuba relations and all that shit. You should really go look that stuff up yourself. But the point is, Cuba is America's enemy, and so they have starved the people on that island. This aid mission, they went into Cuba and delivered aid, ventilators, money. Hassan made a documentary about Cuba, talking about the culture, talking about what's going on, interviewing people, talking about Cuban resilience, innovation, etc., etc. And of course, the Trump administration didn't like this. Now, Hassan says that he has still not been served a subpoena. So as far as we know, that Fox News article was a scare tactic. It was misinformation. It was disinformation. They have now admitted that they're now camping out on his Twitch stream and writing full transcripts about like each thing he has going on.
They are.
It's ridiculous, and it's very obvious intimidation. And the thing is, I don't feel just so protective of Hassan because I'm a Hassanabi head. If I take that hat off, I'm looking like, holy shit, I have the same thoughts, ideas, and beliefs as him. They're in that same camp.
Word.
And so what does that mean for me as a black female leftist from the South? If this nigga is getting threats of subpoena, if this nigga's visa is getting revoked and he's getting banned from the UK for criticizing Israel, what does that mean for me? That is why I think this is a great vehicle to have this conversation about the First Amendment right and censorship and anti-communist sentiment under a fascist regime. You don't have to identify as a socialist. You don't have to identify as a communist.
Yeah, they're gonna come for you anyway.
This is who's leading the team researching cancer vaccines to teach the immune system to fight
See, what
the
a
toughest
great-
cancers.
What a great framing. Are you more loyal to identity or liberation? If the whole world was designed to be skated on, yeah, I know. I wish I could actually skateboard. I never could.
What you should concern yourself with is that
this
you
is the
can
best
be
I can do.
penalized legally, financially, whatever the case may be, for your thoughts, ideas, and opinions and the things that come out of your mouth. Now, I'm not talking about hate crimes or hate speech. I'm not talking about yelling fire in a crowded theater causing someone to potentially get trampled and shit like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about criticism of governments. I'm talking about just simply having an opinion that is not acceptable to civil society or the establishment of society. That should concern all of us. That's why I said at the beginning of the video, it doesn't fucking matter if you like Assad or not, or you know him or not. You should see an attack on free speech in that way and a gross misuse of executive power as an issue. Because I'm gonna tell you something, they're getting through him to get to you, bitch. And so it should concern us all, not because you're a fan or you're not. It should concern us all. It should. Now, before we get into his visa being revoked, him and his uncle, by the way,
Yeah, from
I want to
UK.
kind of mention that there was a very distasteful liberal response to Hassan receiving the subpoena, and that is really what started to get me to break containment. I was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck what's on the schedule today. I gotta wipe that shit clean because, guys, the response from liberals and black liberals in particular was very concerning to me. There were so many videos of like, that's what you get for telling people to not vote for Kamala.
So federal officials now want to speak to Hassan Piker. He has to actually go and address them in person. I mean, Kamala would have never.
You think they're not going to come after you for wanting rights? They took away abortion.
Hassan Piker did not endorse Kamala, but he voted for Kamala. So this idea that he voted third party is misinformation. This idea that he didn't vote is misinformation. He did not endorse her. Endorsing and voting is two different things. Y'all actually got on Chappell Roan's ass for this too. It was like, I'm actually not gonna use my platform to endorse her. I'm gonna vote for her because I don't wanna vote for Trump. But I don't owe any allegiance to her to fucking use my platform to endorse her. The fuck? Because I voted for Kamala Harris out of spite. I didn't vote for her. I voted against Trump. Same with Joe Biden. I didn't vote for Joe Biden. I voted against Trump. And let's be honest, for the past decade, that is what Democrats have stood for. We're not Trump. Trump bad. Us, not so bad. Vote for us.
Literally, dude. Literally. This is why I first time I ever voted was 2021. Because I'm like, I don't give a shit. You know, it's a mayor. It's less people than the presidential election, so my vote might matter just a smidge more. And I'm not voting for Eric Adams. I'm voting for one of the DSA candidates. And it matters, and I think it's relevant that I can't remember who. It was either Maya Wiley or someone else. But there was two, and I think that split the vote, and that was the problem. Because we would have had a socialist earlier instead of Eric Adams if they had, like, coalesced like they did this time around Zoran.
So you
But
can't
whatever,
be
I ain't
mad
mad
when
with Zoran.
people, if we're speaking back to 2024, didn't want to fully endorse her with their full chest.
'Cause I'm not voting
This
just
idea
against something.
That people who didn't vote the way that you wanted them to vote, which, mind you, Hassan did, but wasn't just this loud fucking cheerleader for the pro-genocide candidate, excuse me, the black woman pro-genocide candidate in a silk press, doesn't mean you need to laugh and or cheer on and or look the other way when that person is attacked by the Trump administration, by the Trump regime. That's ridiculous. Now, I saw a video of somebody was saying, that's what you get for voting third party. Wow, look how the tables turn. If you would have just voted for the black woman, this wouldn't be happening to you. Well, he did vote for the black woman. And even if he didn't, you now realize that you're now in alignment with the fascist regime, right? And saying, because I don't like him, because he didn't do what I wanted him to do, this is what he gets. You're in support of an American citizen facing penalty, getting their visa revoked, getting their global entry revoked, getting detained by Border Patrol, and brought into a room and asked, what's your opinions on Trump? What's your opinions on Hamas? What's your opinions on Israel? You're okay with that because he didn't become a cheerleader and a dick rider for the genocidaires that were running for the office.
See, that's the thing. Like, liberals don't necessarily disagree with the methods. They disagree with, like, the idea. I know my camera's going crazy right now. I hope you can still hear me. Let me know in the comments. But it might not be like, oh, you know, did you vote for Donald Trump? Do you support Israel? It'll be, do you support black women and whatever in like an interrogation room? And if you don't, then you go to a re-education camp. They don't necessarily disagree. And that's why they have a problem with dissent.
The president. I can see how,
You can
if
hear
you
me.
look back throughout history, why liberals were the most common collaborators with fascists. Because y'all have this affinity to the status quo, and you have this affinity to protecting capital. And it's sick and it's sad. And y'all are cuckolded. Y'all are cuckolded by this label black, that you cannot see the forest for the fucking trees. Under that video that was spouting misinformation and disinformation about Hassan and that was laughing and found it so fucking funny that a fascist regime was coming for a fucking Twitch streamer, you find Jasmine motherfucking Crockett with the eye emoji kind of empathizing with the sentiment of the video. Wasn't like, Look, I disagree with Hassan. He's criticized me plenty, which is his right because I'm a public fucking servant. But I'm against Trump and I'm against this regime coming for anyone over their use of free speech. No, you put the eye emoji. For what reason? But you know what? I'm not even done tugging on your wig. Because I was right about Jasmine Crockett. I was right that she was a fucking 65-year-old establishment candidate in a 30-something-year-old body. That her youth does not indicate progressivism. That she is in line with the establishment. Honey, you lost your race. So you can be as free as you want to be. But with that freedom and with that autonomy, you still want to align with the establishment. And I'm going to give you the perfect example of her being in alignment with the establishment. This woman endorsed Javier Becerra, who is running for governor in California. Now, let's watch this video detailing just how cucked to the corporate establishment Javier Becerra is. And the dangers of being like, oh,
always
he would
right
be the
too
first
early,
Hispanic
yeah.
governor. That would be progress, right? Wrong. Y'all have to let the identity shit go. Just because you see a woman, just because you see a young person, just because you see a black or brown person, doesn't mean they're inherently the better choice or the more progressive choice. We gotta stop bigging up these fucking symbolic victories, all for the sake of representation. What the fuck are they actually about? This is the man that Jasmine Crockett endorsed.
They're pressing. They're pressing. Oh my, Gemini!
It's
these
easy
ads
for
are
the
so
screen to
stupid.
steal our time. Less can free you.
Let's watch.
Yes, the rumors are true. I'm voting for a billionaire to be the next governor. I know. I understand. Take me away, officer, arrest me. No matter how you square it, there are only 3 people who can be the next governor of California. Steve Hilton, a MAGA Republican who's also British. Javier Becerra, corporate Democrat, and Tom Steyer,
Oh,
a
that
billionaire.
guy.
Those are the 3 options.
He's
There are
like a
other candidates too,
podcaster.
and if you want to vote those people, I believe you have the right to do so. I'm not a vote shamer. I think politicians have to earn your vote. They don't deserve.
I'm gonna stop here real quick. Yes to no vote shaming, and yes to voting for whoever you want based on your morals and principles. Love that.
You vote. So if you want to vote for Butch Ware or Ramsey Robinson, go ahead. Just know that they're not going to win, and that's okay. For the love of God, do not vote Javier Becerra. Part of me just wanted to stay out of this race. I didn't want to talk about any of this. I didn't want to say I'm endorsing a billionaire. That doesn't feel good. I'm a progressive guy. I call myself an advocate of the working class. I'm going to vote for a billionaire, somebody who has billions of dollars with a B, billions. But everything that I see about Javier Becerra...
Let me just stop right here too. I love that Mason qualified this video by being like, I'm not happy that I'm voting for a billionaire.
I know, the timing of the ad.
I'm looking at the facts though. And so yeah, we don't have to be fans of the people that we're fucking voting for. They're public servants. They don't need a K-Hive or a
Word.
J-Hive. They don't need stand-up. They're public servants. So go based off the record. Go based off of who is paying them. I like that he qualified. He wasn't like, yeah, Tom Steyer is the bastion of the left and he should be the new mascot for the left and we should invite more billionaires into the left. No, he's just voting based off of the record. Let's get into it.
Sarah makes my blood boil. Tom Steyer is not the only billionaire in this race. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of
not too
wealthy
loud.
people who are pouring money into Javier Becerra's campaign. And that's not even to talk about the corporations that are funding him as well. Chevron, McDonald's, DaVita, and California Resource Corp, one of the largest oil drillers in the entire state. All of them gave at least $500,000 to Javier Becerra's campaign. Meta and Airbnb both each gave $1 million to Javier Becerra's campaign. Private insurance corporation Centene, which runs HealthNet, gave $100,000 to Javier Becerra's campaign. Corporations are not charities. They're not giving money altruistically. They're not
Oh
just
yeah, the meme of they said the next one will be a woman. Oh, it really makes you feel like you're a part of history to get bombed by a woman president, as opposed to the policy actually changing. Exactly.
in it because they want to grab a beer with Javier Becerra. Corporations are investing in somebody who they think they will get a return from. That is the reason why they're spending millions of dollars. And those dollars aren't just flowing to pro-Javier Becerra ads, they're also going to attack ads. And who is the #1 recipient?
No, I think that Mason is modeling something that is really beneficial. Be realistic about the shortfalls of the candidate that you're promoting. Make sure that you highlight their positives, but make sure you also highlight their deficits. I did this when covering the Jasmine Crockett James Tallarico race, where I would talk about why I'm voting for James Tallarico, and I do not regret that vote. But I was also very clear, like, this Wonder Bread white boy, this fucking barely progressive, he's not a bastion of the left. He's not even for Medicare for all. There's certain like deficits that are to him. I think it behooves us as the left to be realistic about why we're voting for who and their deficits and their shortcomings. And I think that Mason models this really well in this video.
Number one recipient of attack ads in this race, Tom Steyer. Look, say what you want about Tom Steyer. He said that he plans to give away all his money before he dies, and sometimes he said he's an accidental billionaire. But I don't believe either of those things. Personally, I think that's what a lot of wealthy people say when they feel guilty about their excess wealth. But I'm not voting for Tom Steyer because of his past or because of the person that he is. I'm voting on the records. They are significantly different platforms. The fact that all of these corporations, some of the worst entities in this state, are spending $32 million to take out Tom Steyer says something about Tom Steyer's campaign. They are afraid of his agenda. They are afraid of what he can implement. They are afraid of the power that he wants to take away from those entities. So if you believe that corporations have too much power over our everyday lives, if you believe that the working class is not well represented in the state of California, if you believe that the wealth gap, the inequality that we see in the richest state, in the richest country that has ever walked the face of the earth is getting too much, Javier Becerra is not your person. He is the cheerleader, he is the lapdog of all of those corporations. Do you remember who led this race before they were outed as a rapist? Eric Swalwell. You want to take a quick guess on where all of those donors from Eric Swalwell went? It's not Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer vows to fight against utility companies like PG&E and Edison to make rates lower. They seem to believe him, which is why they're spending tens of millions into Javier Becerra. Tom Steyer wants to abolish ICE at the federal level.
I was like, he looks familiar. He is the dude who fucking ate up Dave Rubin. That's hilarious.
And is going to push for it as the most powerful governor in the country. Javier Becerra says the problem with ICE is because of Donald Trump. He's the sole reason. ICE was working fine under Democrats. It's not working fine under Trump. Those are differences in values. Tom Steyer wants to build more affordable housing and take on the private developing industry. Javier Becerra is taking money from the realtors for California who are running attack ads on Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer is promising to protect our environment. Javier Becerra is taking money from Chevron and oil drilling companies.
I'm wondering what she's gonna say, or what they're gonna say, because like, is this? I think this is before that election. Now Becerra's the only guy in the race, right? Isn't Tom Steyer out? So it's like, well, now we got to vote for Becerra, or is it gonna be like, yeah, fuck it, let Steve Hilton run the show? Steve Hilton, dude, that's crazy, man. He was from, like, Breitbart days, when I was reading Breitbart. Yeah. Yes, this is how I remember him. And I guess he looks like this now. He is British, dude. Again, it's this global fascist network they have where they're like, come over here and be the governor of California. I'll go over there and we'll have Patrick Bet-David be the leader of Iran because it doesn't really matter. We just got to put our friends in there. It's our circle. That's all that matters. It's literally a cabal.
These two people couldn't be further apart. You are not a progressive if you
The
vote for
younger
Javier Becerra.
Sierra
You are a
Cedar
Democrat
clone.
cheerleader. I completely understand not trusting Tom Steyer and other wealthy interests. Wealthy interests have been screwing over Californians for so long. And that is why it's so terrible that we have a candidate like Javier Becerra who is bought by every wealthy interest in the state. I'd much rather take the chance on somebody who's running on a progressive agenda than somebody who's openly telling us, I don't want progressive policy. I will be a moderate. I will continue the status quo. If you love Gavin Newsom and you think the state is going just fine, vote Javier Becerra because nothing will change. But if you genuinely believe that California deserves more and is capable of more, vote for Tom Steyer.
Shout out Mason. He does some good work in the media space, but that is who Jasmine Crockett endorsed. But it gets worse. She also endorsed a man by the name of Christian Menifee, who was running for Al Green's seat, who was a very large pro-Palestinian voice in Congress. Al Green is old, and he's been in office for a minute. Christian is young, but he's backed by big crypto. Oh, and you want to know who congratulated Christian on his win against Al Green? AIPAC. So no, Jasmine Crockett doesn't take AIPAC money. But there's a reason why I said that is not the worst thing.
I hate it. I hate that we have to gently walk people through. Just because someone's black doesn't mean they got the politics you think they have. You idiots. Tim Scott exists. Clarence Thomas exists. Like, why is this complicated? And that, yeah, actually the socialists are running on the things the Democrats say they've been running on. They say they've been running for human rights and democracy and all this shit. But when it comes to actually putting legislation in, they're like, oh, that's extremist. So, it's so annoying.
That is not the only label that is a
You're just
blaring red
fundraising
flag
on these
for a candidate. It's not just literally accepting money from the organization AIPAC. It's backing people who are celebrated by AIPAC. AIPAC literally said, "Congratulations, Representative Christian Menifee, on your victory tonight over one of the most outspoken anti-Israel voices in Congress." So Jasmine Crockett endorsed someone that AIPAC congratulated.
She's
because
probably
he was
getting
going to
money
replace one of
from
the
a
most
different organization.
anti-Israel voices in Congress. I'm not saying that AIPAC congratulating you is worse or better than AIPAC giving you money, but it's all in the same fucking camp. And we have to stop acting like saying, she didn't take AIPAC money, is just the end-all be-all of that conversation. It's not.
Exactly.
It's not. On the surface, it looks like
Let's put a pin in
an
that.
old black man was replaced by a young black man. Yay! Young progressives in Congress, right? Wrong. Al Green was replaced by someone who is backed by big crypto, because that's how I even saw that Jasmine endorsed him, was that she was appearing in an ad that was funded by a crypto pack, which she's received hella crypto money. And then I log on to Twitter and I see that AIPAC is like, "Go Christian! You ousted one of the most staunch anti-Israel voices in Congress. Yay!"
Shout out Jeff.
With Jasmine Crockett's stamp of approval. This is why we can't fall for the black okie doke. And you making me sound like a crazy person by being like, don't pull the black card, don't pull the race card, whatever the case may be. But that's literally what it is. Just because you're black doesn't mean you're for black people. Just because you're black doesn't mean you're for the liberation of black people and of all oppressed people. Speaking of black people who are collaborators with Zionists and fascists, let's talk about Wesley Bell. There have been so many videos out there that are like, y'all are spreading misinformation. Jasmine Crockett did not give a formal endorsement of Wesley Bell. Cori Bush was in the audience. She was just headlining an event for Democrats in St. Louis. I'm gonna tell you something. A politician doesn't have to formally endorse somebody to be aligned with them. That's not how politics works. You can send a signal as to who you support and stand with just by being in the same room as somebody. And certainly based off the words that you say about them. There's also formal endorsements and informal endorsements, right? But please, folks getting hung up on the technicality of, well, her official campaign did not officially put out an official formal endorsement. Y'all are being obtuse. Politicians are very strategic in their communications. What they say, what they don't say. Where they say it, who they say it to. And I want y'all to remember that when you're watching this video. Politicians are fucking thespians. They are strategists. They are drama kings and queens. They are attention whores. That's how they got to be in that position, right? And so we're not gonna sit up here and act like you have to formally issue a PR statement through your fucking office in order to signal who you align with. Let's react to what Jasmine said.
Go out and vote. Do not get comfortable at all. We are living in unprecedented times, and I can tell you that there is no one better for this moment in Missouri one to keep his eye on the prize, which is you, the people, than Wesley Bell.
Kia creates inspiration that
That's
connects
crazy.
the world. Inspiration connects us all.
That's crazy, dude.
Golf clubs.
Cori Bush, we gotta get her back in there. See also the poem I just posted on Pep's Discord? Alright, let's see.
Let's play it again.
Go out and vote again. Do not get comfortable at all. We are living in unprecedented times, and I can tell you that there is no one better for this moment for Missouri one to keep his eye on the prize, which is you, the people, than Wesley Bell.
There is no one better for Missouri one. There's no one better.
Did I get banned from Peps? Because it's not popping up on my Discord now, actually. Hold on. Yeah, it's not listed. Oh, wait. No, it's there. Never mind. I forgot about the symbol. Okay. Where is it? General? Let's see. I've seen many a marvel, from riverboat cruise to a man selling hope in a bottle of booze. Nothing quite baffles, bewilders, or bites like folks who wear neckties and claim they know rights. He starts with a grin and a sermon so slick you'd think he was Moses with hair gel and tricks. He kisses the babies, he hugs the old maid. He once hated gay folks till the polling had swayed. Oh, it's Gavin? Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. No, it's just everything moved down one. He talks about freedom, he knows about sin, he votes for a law that lets lobbyists in. He's for the poor farmer, the working class mom, as long as they don't take his place at the prom. Right. Don't run for office. Now the left says the right is a heartless old mule, and the right says the left wants to ban God from school. They bicker and posture, they spit and they squawk, while their donors line up like pigs at the trough. Each claims the republic will surely collapse if the other gains power, cuts their own tax. The come inauguration, it's handshakes and grins, because behind every feud is a deal that begins. They promise reform with a thunderous cheer, then vanish sheep when the wolf comes anear. For once they are sworn and their oath has been spoken, they treat all their pledges like Chuck E. Cheese tokens. They draft up some laws, slap a flag on the name, then bury the poison, dodge all the blame. It's for the people till the checks come to clear. Then it's don't call my office boy, it's election year. No, this is wrong. Oh, no, it's not. Now the voter, God bless him, gets fooled every time by slogans and sound bites and plain flat-out lying. They march to the booths with a tear in their eye, then wake up next week to a tax that's sky high. They argue online with unshakable pride, while the bills go unpaid for their savings subside. They shout, my guy's honest, with passions and flair as he buys a new yacht off a Medicare scare. So raise up your glass to the noble pursuit, where power wears smiles and truth wears a boot, where liars and saints share a table at dusk, and the scent in the air is a mixture of musk. For politics friends, it's a carnival ride, full of clowns in fine suits with a soul to divide. But as long as there's voters who dream and forget, they'll keep selling us rainbows while we're swimming in shit. Hell yeah, that's good. That's good. Can I like that? I do have a Substack. I'll log in later. That was good. Thank you, Pickerball. Happy 4th of July, buddy.
There's no one else that's going to keep their eye on the prize for Missouri 1 than Wesley Bell. Let's give a little bit of context on Mr. Bell. First, to do that, we have to talk about Cori Bush. Cori Bush is a former congresswoman who was a member of the squad. She's a black woman from St. Louis who occupied the seat that Wesley Bell currently has. The race to replace Cori Bush was one of the most expensive races in the country because AIPAC flooded the race with $19 million to unseat Cori Bush for saying that Israel was committing a genocide in Palestine. Yes, AIPAC did the same thing to replace Jamal Bowman, another black man who is pro-Palestinian, anti-genocide, anti-imperialism, who was a member of the squad as well. Those two were replaced with pro-Israel people. And the okie doke is that Wesley Bell is black. He's a black man. And so you can do this thing of like, well, okay, a black woman was replaced by a black man. At least Missouri 1 still has black representation. Is all black representation created equal? Are all black opinions created equal? Would you ask Candace Owens about pro-black liberation? Would you ask Clarence Thomas about the liberation of black people and what's in the best interest for black people? No, you fucking wouldn't. So apply that to this context. Jasmine Crockett headlining this event, co-headlining this event, introducing her colleague in front of Cori Bush, who was ousted by AIPAC to be replaced by Wesley Bell, someone who was not going to buck the system, someone who was going to take AIPAC money or money through shell corporations that AIPAC funds, because AIPAC has become so toxic that they can't just come out and endorse a candidate or give a candidate money. You now have candidates coming out that are denouncing AIPAC money or giving their AIPAC money back because it's so toxic. And so they found new ways and new loopholes to give candidates money that are going to be pro-Israel, right? You're saying that there's no one better for Missouri 1. There's no one that's going to put their eye on the prize more than this man in the face of this black woman. Now, you can say it's not a formal endorsement. Okay, fine. It was an informal endorsement. And I'll do you one better. Cori Bush had a campaign event. You didn't see Jasmine at that? You didn't see Jasmine speaking at that? And being like, there's not a fierce enough fighter. She was wrongfully ousted from her seat for speaking the truth to power. Support this black woman.
I like what you're saying, but it's making it feel even more bleak. Yeah, I feel you. But this is a couple weeks ago. This is 3 weeks ago. So we have had some movement. You know, again, she started by talking about 4 weeks ago. So a month ago. Talking about Hassan. And now we know Hassan's like boosting Cori and trying to get her to win, highlighting her. Look, he's one man, and he's a random fucking streamer. We need more, you know. Kat Abou-Ghazal is doing the same thing with her platform, highlighting candidates and talking to them and stuff, trying to mobilize this audience. Mike from PA. I don't know anyone else. I mean, I Majority Report Fran, but anyone else as big. I don't know if there is anybody else as big. We need everybody to get that. Rise that tide. Gina's doing it. Jeff, you know, as much as we can on this space. Boost that, but, you know, it's like what Matt said. One of the last times I talked to him was like, you know, we don't need more people talking to the cameras. We need more people on the ground. But my on the ground is talking into a camera. We're fighting on every front. That's why I want to connect everybody. This music space to the political space. That's why I think she's great on Culture United. Brings it back to a political space. Brings that point of view into the conversation, when maybe on another podcast it would just be about rappers and their beefs with each other and this beat's better than that beat. It's like, yeah, but how does this relate to capitalism and patriarchy? And it's important.
Oh no, I guess we're only supposed to support black women who fuck with the liberal establishment, who support fucking genocide, who don't want to buck the system, who can cuss out Trump and the people that we know are fucking evil and won't criticize their own fucking party. People who say the relationship with Israel is going to continue long after me because it started long before me and we need them for intel. That's why the relationship won't change. I guess we're only supposed to support those black women. But what about Cori Bush, Summer Lee, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, even Chris Rabb, Jamal Bowman, Charles Booker, other black leftists? And I know I expanded that to men, but you get the point. It's almost not only what you say, it's what you don't say. Not only where you go, but where you don't go. I didn't see her sit up there in purple with Cori Bush saying a black woman got kicked out of Congress for calling the truth what it was. Jasmine ain't in that fucking count, so whether you call it a formal endorsement or an informal endorsement, what it's not is an endorsement of Cori Bush, or calling out the mistreatment of another black woman from your fucking hometown of St. Louis. So miss me with the fucking technicalities, bitch. So you do this fucking tacit endorsement of Wesley Bell. You formally, since we're doing the fucking technicalities, endorse Javier Becerra.
Love this attitude, yo.
Corporate stooge. And then you do a crypto-backed ad for Christian Menifee, who replaced one of the most staunch pro-Palestinian voices in Congress. This is why we can't be so married to the label black that we divorce ourselves from liberation. Wake the fuck up. Race is a social construct. And although I love my blackness and I'm defined by my blackness and I'll fight for black people and black liberation, I understand that this is a social construct. I understand that white supremacy created the label black to subjugate my ancestors and me and my lineage in perpetuity. So I'm not actually gonna cling to the label that was given to me by white supremacy. Not so far that I would reject liberation because of someone's skin color. Fuck no. Miss me with that bullshit. Now, we're gonna react to
This is
some videos
our
by the
Declaration
same
of
creator.
Independence.
I have no issue with Wayne. I started following him during the beef of 2024. I want to just use his videos as a kind of an avatar for the black liberal response to all of this. This is not an attack on him personally. Do not attack him personally. If this comes across his desk, like, it's all love for the work that you do. But I think that his videos encapsulate the sentiment of black liberals in this.
All right, before we get into this, let me just hit the bathroom real quick. I'm actually really excited to get into GTA again. Just playing it for like 2 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah. And this level, and that level, and this area. It's gonna be fun. I also never actually played GTA 3 or Vice City. Like, I never owned those games. I played them at friends' houses, so I could try and download those and see if those work. Do a whole marathon before GTA 6 comes out?
This broader liberal left divide. And I want to just use his videos as a vehicle to talk about this, as a way to kind of flesh these ideas out. Okay, well, he deleted 2 of the 3 videos I was going to react to today.
I ended up finding one of the videos later, but I couldn't go back and edit it, so let's just continue with the video.
And you know what? As to not speak for him or mischaracterize his statements, let's just move on to the last video that I wanted to react to. I think we can still gain some insights from this. Let's see what he says.
Graham Plattner and all the revelations that have come about him since he decided to run for Senate is a grand example for me that a lot of folks on the left may have left religion, but the framework that allows them to absolve those they believe to be on their team while condemning people they believe to not be on their
Yo, okay, this is just a separate point, because this guy's like liberal, right? But conservatives do this all the time, where they use religion as an insult, and they go like, oh, you're in the cult of like Mamdani, or you worship him like a god or an idol or whatever. You're religious about climate change. You're religious about gay rights or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you guys actually are religious. So why are you using that as an insult? Because you think it'll affect one of the leftists that hears that and goes, oh, you're right, I am being religious about this. Let me not, because I hate religion so much. They really think people are fucking stupid, but then on the other side of it, people are really fucking stupid. So they will fall for this kind of shit that this dude's about to talk about.
Their team still remains deeply rooted and alive in a lot of us.
All right. On the
I'm
surface,
Iron Man, by the way.
I agree with that sentiment. I've actually given my own self that critique because I was raised Christian in the South. I deconstructed from religion, and then I replaced Christianity with leftism. and started evangelizing and preaching and purity testing and like, oh my God, you can't sit with me if you don't fucking read this book and blah, 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 blah. So I do agree with that on its surface, but I think that there's a lot of different conversations being wrapped up into one, but let me just let him finish. I just wanted to say I agree with that overall premise for the most part.
Reality is that Graham Plattner, for all intents and purposes, every single revelation that comes out about him is horrendous and horrible and disgusting and gross. And if for a lot of people on the quote-unquote left, if you did not believe that he was also anti-AIPAC, anti-Israel, that he believes that it's not left versus right, but top versus bottom, you would have discarded him a long time ago for the first of the infractions, let alone the continued revelations of infractions. But
that's... Well, what's she say about this?
I wanted to just stop here real quick, back up a little bit, because I recognize that a lot of people probably don't know who Graham Plattner is just yet. He's looking to replace
I look away for a minute. I look back and Iron Man is doing kickflips. Yeah. I loaded up Tony Hawk Underground 1. And, you know, they got some secret characters. Gene Simmons is in this game. You can play as Kiss if you want. And this is a good point. You know, and the way he's talking about, like, infractions. He's talking about Twitter. He's talking about canceling. He's talking about if somebody said this, you would have been all over them on Twitter and blah, 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 blah. They're still mad about fucking tweets, dude. And you would have done this. You would have done that. But because you agree with him, you're letting him get a pass. And it's like, bro, look, it's up to the voters of Maine. If they put him in there and he does a Fetterman, they're going to be pissed. And yeah, we've got duped again. But like when I was looking for jobs and like I would get scam emails that were like, hey, we got a job for you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a scam, but I got to respond to it because I need a fucking job. And I got to go with the chance that maybe they just wrote the email poorly. Same thing. You got to vote for the person who's most closely aligned with your politics, even if you're like, I don't know, they might be a fucking cinema or something, but like, or Fetterman, but who else am I going to do?
Incumbent Susan Collins, who is a Republican. She's had that seat since like the 90s, I think. And originally he was bumping up against the establishment pick, who was actually backed by Chuck Schumer, who's the majority leader of the Senate for the Democrats, Janet Mills. Now, Janet Mills was so unpopular, and she's like 70 fucking years old, that she dropped out. Now, she claims she didn't drop out, but she released a statement that was like, I'm basically stepping to the side because Graham is super popular. People did not expect Graham to really be a serious threat to Janet Mills, much less to Susan Collins, and potentially pick up that seat for the Democrats, mainly because he's an oyster farmer from Maine. He is a veteran. He actually was a Blackwater mercenary, which was just crazy. But yeah, he represents basically the insurgent candidate in that race. And if you pay attention, there is kind of this fight for the soul of the Democratic Party, as people say, right? You have insurgent candidates that are typically not backed by AIPAC or not backed by corporate PAC money in general, that are pro-working class, pro-single payer, or pro-Medicare for all.
I know,
that
my skids are
come
crazy.
Out as pro-Palestine or at least against Israel. You kind of have them in that category. They start out with little to no name recognition because they don't have like the backing of the machine, of the establishment, and they climb their way to the top. They're pretty savvy on social media. They have a clear communication. They have volunteers and door knockers and ground support. Those candidates are facing off with establishment candidates like Javier Becerra that I mentioned, like Wesley Bell, who are gonna...
Yeah, the detail about him being a mercenary. Look, I was championing him like right away when I saw him. I was like, dude, he sounds like Joe Rogan. He's got the deep voice. He's a big muscle man. He'd be good to talk to like the chuds who want a different way to go, you know. But then the more I hear him, more I'm like, all right, like, good for you. I'm not gonna like talk about you that much. Hope you win and beat Susan Collins for sure. But like, I'm not in Maine, so what am I gonna do? You know, I'm gonna focus on some of the other races around the country. And again, I hope he doesn't turn out. If he shows up to the Senate and he wins, fingers crossed, knock wood, and he's like doing all the stuff that he says he is, and he is a changed man and all that stuff, good. But I'm sure there's still going to be stuff we want to criticize him about. His position on guns, for example. Like, I don't know about that.
Get Schumer's approval, Schumer's backing, the backing from the establishment, who are going to get corporate money, who are going to actually keep things pretty much the same. Like, they protect the establishment, they want the status quo to kind of keep moving. They don't really see much going on with that, and they don't really want to upset their donors too much. They don't want to upset the establishment too much. So it's like, outside of Graham specifically, he kind of represents the insurgent avatar, and there's kind of this battle of like, is he electable? You know, people were asking, is a Muslim socialist from Africa in Zohran Mamdani, is he electable? Is Chris Rabb, who just won his primary in Pennsylvania, who's a Democratic socialist, is he electable? Is Summer Lee electable? Is Tallarico electable? Which, you know, he's technically an insurgent, but, you know, that's another story for another day. There are these candidates that are popping up. Now, for Graham Plattner, what Wayne is talking about, or what he's alluding to here,
I know, it looks so painful.
Whenever he was in the Marines, he went to Croatia, he got a skull and bones tattoo on his chest. He had it on his chest for like decades. And it actually turned out to be a totem cough tattoo. I didn't know what a totem cough was. He claims to not have known what a totem cough was, but it's one of the more obscure Nazi tattoos, right? He says he went through a bunch of like military clearances. They basically check you for gang tattoos, and it never came up in that search, which I'm like, well, it probably wouldn't come up in the military. They probably look at that and be like, yeah, buddy, come on, join us, right? But something that was more interesting to me was that the video that got exposed, where he had a shirt off and you could see the tat, was at his Jewish family member's wedding. And they were like up there like, yeah, Graham, sing, blah, blah, blah. Like, so it's just like, he has Jewish friends, Jewish family members that never clocked him, was like, yo, what the fuck is on your chest, you know?
Right.
And so like, I tend to kind of believe his claim that he didn't know, but I don't even have to believe his claim, right? He got the tattoo covered up. What also was a red flag for me was the fact that he served in the military and he went back and did like mercenary work where he did security. Look, I am not gonna stick my neck out there to like protect a straight white man from Maine in the same way I'm not gonna really stick my neck out for like a straight white man in Hassan.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. And also like, dude, I mean, look, the mercenary thing, first of all, he said he did like security work at a consulate, right? And then it was also, what do you do with a military career? Like, what jobs do you get? You know, what jobs are you qualified for?
But I am fair, and I've watched a considerable amount of Graham Plattner interviews with the New York Times, with Jon Stewart, with the Pod Johns on Pod Save America. I've watched hours and hours and hours of content from him, and it's only because I saw the hype from white leftists, and I was like, of course you niggas is boosting this nigga. And actually, I'm gonna pause here and say, go watch FD's most recent video entitled "Why I Left the White Left," because you niggas really do love putting anti-blackness to the side, putting all these red flags to the side, because y'all have that commonality in whiteness where, you know, other white people don't really seem to be threats to you and shit like.
We watched that video. Actually, I don't know if I watched that video on stream with y'all. I did watch Pep watch that video, or at least that was part of it. He was watching Vaush watch the video, and Vaush already is bad faith and doesn't like FD to begin with, so watching it through his lens, like, of course you're gonna disagree. That's why I called in that one time. I called in the Pep and I was like, dude, just watch FD's video alone without Vaush chiming in and skipping around the video. But yeah, y'all should watch that FD video.
Like that. The whole white leftist conversation is a whole other rabbit hole. It's a very valid conversation. But like, if we're going to talk about racism with white leftists, we got to talk about how Joe Biden co-authored the largest crime bill in U.S. history. We got to talk about how Joe Biden is a former segregationist. We got to talk about how Joe Biden is a Zionist. We got to talk about how Joe Biden said, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. We got to talk about Hillary and her super predators comment. We got to talk about Nancy Pelosi drapes and kente cloth on herself and fucking kneeling. I never let that go. You know, show of support for pro-blackness. There's white people be racist.
Racist as fuck.
White people be fucking racist. White people have a blind spot for anti-blackness. Not all white people, not all white leftists, but sure.
Yeah, no, Vaush is bad.
But I think that the left is being painted with this.
Literally, I remember I started watching FD's videos, and I'm like, who's this cool new dude? He's awesome. Hey, Natch. I appreciate that calling Pep that day. You said a lot of things I was feeling. Word. I was watching FD. I was like, he just started putting out videos. I'm like, this is great. And then I didn't really watch Vouch that much, but he would pop up and be recommended, like Destiny is. I'd watch him the same amount as Destiny, which is to say, what's this clip about? What are you whining about today? Let me watch a minute of it, and then, oh, you're insufferable. I can't stand you. And then I saw Vouch was talking about this creator, Professor Flowers, black woman, and then also FD. And I was like, let me see this. And everything Vouch said was like bad faith, purposefully being obtuse, feeding his audience like, oh, the black person just says everything's racist. That's their level of insight and intellect and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, you're one of them. You a piece of shit. I'm never listening to you again. Same thing with Breonna Joy Gray. As soon as that debate with Sam Cedar over forced to fucking vote, and she brought up a comment, a super chat from someone saying, what would Michael say? And Michael had just died. And I was like, oh, this is a disgusting fucking craven person. I'm never listening to your analysis again. The first time you saw me live on this space watch it, it was when she was talking at ContraPoints. And I was like begrudgingly agreeing with the things coming out of her mouth. I'm like, yes, the words in the order that they're coming out are technically correct, but Breonna is a bad faith person. Yeah, Professor Flowers is great. And I think she kind of stopped making shit because of that. Princess Weeks as well, also fantastic. But yeah, BK. We're watching BK right now. BK of the Look at the Material with BK channel. She's very fun. I found her on Culture United, which is this. Culture United. The company man, who is a music journalist, has a YouTube channel now, and he does a panel show every Wednesday night that I check out if I can. And they had a whole Lupe Fiasco episode with him. So I discovered her through that panel. I follow her now on this channel, and she's great. I'm trying to get her on on my show, interview her. But yeah, she's talking about like Jasmine Crockett and like. Basically, the name of this video is, are you more loyal to identity or liberation? Do you care that it's a black woman in office, or do you care that that black woman has the correct policies? Is it Jasmine Crockett, or is it Ilhan Omar? You know what I mean? Or Cori Bush.
Fucking stroke. And black leftists like me get invisibilized. Black communists, black leftists get invisibilized. And people, when they think about the left, they just think about white people. Annoying white people that chirp online. That turn a blind eye to anti-blackness. Now, I'm not a main constituent, so I'm not voting for Graham Plattner. I'm also not gonna like base boost him and be like, yeah, this is the new leader of the left. But I do support what he supports. Putting sanctions on Israel, Medicare for all, being pro-labor, pro-union. I support all those things. Him being for the decriminalization and legalization of marijuana, but then also to grant clemency to people who were arrested and jailed for decades for nonviolent offenses involving cannabis. Like, I support all those things. His wanting to expand the social safety net, him wanting to do FDR style social safety net programs, him wanting to get big money out of politics and end corruption and ban stock trading and all this stuff. Like, I'm for that. I'm for that. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm not for that because the nigga's white. That's stupid. But even outside of all the things
my wife would watch me on Twitch when we first started dating.
He's the only viable.
She's like, you can't skate on sand.
And so I'm sorry, when I
said it's PlayStation 2, you can do whatever you want.
Liberals and Democrats coming on MSNBC and CNN to be like, don't vote for Graham Plattner, we don't support Graham Plattner, and actually we don't care if we lose Maine, despite the fact that MAGA Republicans are gerrymandering the fuck out of the South, you don't feel the need to gain any more seats or flip any seats? All because he got a tattoo covered up and he sexted a few people before going to marriage counseling with his wife? Like, I think to characterize all this shit as horrendous and repugnant and horrible, I don't think any of this shit is worse than being complicit in genocide. Janet Mills, the establishment pick, the person that Schumer picked, said that she was going to be a staunch ally to Israel. Deflected and said, well, there's a bunch of atrocities going on in the world as to not talk about the genocide in Gaza.
There's too many atrocities. Who cares?
Person for that seat, considering Janet Mills was so cut to Israel and was so fucking unpopular, she had to literally drop out, and considering that his only other opponent is Republican. So I'm sorry, I do think that like a lot of these conversations should have come up like 6 months ago, and actually they did when his Oppo research came out, which is the whole reason why he was doing all these interviews, speaking to like his Reddit posting, speaking to his tattoos, speaking to, you know, this sexting. He sexted another adult woman and then like told his wife about it and then went to marriage counseling 3 years before he ran for Congress. But then like he self-disclosed all this shit, from Reddit to the sexting shit, all that stuff that you know, when they interviewed him to be a candidate, he self-disclosed all this stuff. He said that this information is out there. So I'm kind of scratching my head where I'm like, why is this coming up all of a sudden? Who does it benefit to malign him right now when he's the only other viable Democrat in that race? I thought it was vote blue no matter who. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry, like when a bunch of like establishment consultants come forward and say, I don't care if we lose Maine and, you know, I wouldn't vote for him and I don't feel the need to vote for him. I think we have to be a little bit more critical and kind of identify where these smears are coming from, because Abdul Al-Sayed also got some of these smears, where it's like he's not even a real doctor.
Oh my God.
He has 2 degrees, one from Columbia, one from fucking Oxford. He's a medical doctor. It's, you know. But, like, pay attention to the smears that come out against these insurgent candidates, who it's coming from.
To see if there's if I can get Spider-Man.
Like, while I'll not be a fucking cheerleader for the nigga, and I think that, like, some white leftists take it a little bit too fucking far, trying to find, like, a savior. Again, watch FD's video on that shit.
Word.
I do think that it is a bit odd that, like, when he has the best chance to flip that seat, and Mainers, Maine constituents, people on the ground fucking love him.
Yeah,
what are we to say about that? What are we to say about that?
Very much ouch.
If you only know Longhorn for steak, we invite you to take another bite.
But alright, we're almost done with this. But I do want to point out the FD video, because that's good. That's a good video. Ooh, Curtis King. Curtis King's another great creator.
Depth within that.
Talks about rap or music and whatnot. Ooh.
Look, get back to it. This is Vince Staples.
I just gotta save this video for myself for later, because I've been watching every single Crybaby reaction because I love Crybaby so much. I think it's FD Signifier B-sides. Yeah, right here. Why left to white left. It's one with Plattner's face in it. Y'all should watch this one too, about Mamdani. This is when like he got elected, or at least when he was running. The year Obama broke away. He's got so many good ones, especially on the B-sides. But yeah, there was one video before this. That's why the Bernie's in the corner. About Bernie and like, here's why you didn't get him in 2016. Here's why the black people didn't get on board. And it's important to hear that perspective, even if you disagree and go, but he was class warring. You know, it would have benefited everyone. It's like, yeah, but you got to hear this perspective, because you got to appeal to the people that you want on board. But yes, this is a great video. I think I did watch this on stream. I watched one of these on stream. Anyways, it was the wrap up of like Empanada, the bad Empanada interview thing. So I think it was that video. Anyways, let's take it back. Let's let her cook. She's so good. She's cooking great. And it's perfect because it's July 4th. I can smell the ribs that my dad's making.
Cheerleader for the nigga, and I think that like some white leftists take it a little bit too fucking far, trying to find like a savior. Again, watch FD's video on that shit. Yeah. I do think that it's
white
a bit
savior
odd
complex.
that, like, when he has the best chance to flip that seat.
You want a totalitarian, but on the
people
left.
On the ground fucking love him. What are we to say about that? What are we to say about that?
But the same way that when I was a pastor, I saw oftentimes how denominations were really good about shielding the pastors and the denomination from any type of accountability and talking about the good that they had done. How pastors were oftentimes
I never
given
fell for that
redemption
one.
arcs because they speak in tongues or because
And sometimes it works out where I'm like, I find this person annoying, so I don't like them, and then it turns out they suck, and I'm like, oh, good. Sometimes I don't like a person because I find them annoying, and it turns out they're great, and I'm like, oh, I guess I just gotta learn to tolerate them then, because they are really good. But yeah, Valish Destiny, Hassan to an extent. I was like, you're kind of abrasive. That's why I can't watch his streams where he starts yelling at chatters, but like little clips, I can watch those.
they've ministered or they've done this work. While at the same time, that same denomination will look at someone in another denomination.
But he's
say,
also not as
that
like
person
pompous,
is saved, that person doesn't belong. In the same way, I've seen the same, in particular, online leftists who keep absolving Grand Platinum are able to look at quote-unquote establishment Democrats and condemn every single action that they do or say, and they do.
Now, I do think that, to his point, again, you should not be dick-sucking Grand Platinum. I think when people say, hey, what about that tat? You shouldn't say, shut the fuck up about that tat, blah, 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 blah. I do think that if you're going to finger wag or condemn an establishment dim for doing shit, then you should be like, yo, it is a red flag that you served so many goddamn times. It is a red flag that you have this tat. Yes, you got it covered up. Yes, you're saying, whatever. We're gonna have to see how you govern after you win in order to like really put full-throated support behind.
The whole military thing. Yes, is it a problem? Sure, but it's a problem to us. It's a problem to us, right? Because we look at the military as an evil, imperialist, American empire colonist military, right? But everybody else is like, that's the military. You say thank you for your service and you give a salute. Hell, the dude yesterday who was on I'm going to talk about it on Tuesday, preview for the show, but the dude on the stairs, was it in front of the in front of the Capitol who was protesting, the Army airman who gave up his whole like pension and shit to protest for Trump to get impeached. That was good, and he's a hero, but he was also still part of the fucking military for 20 years. What were you doing? You were dropping bombs on people. And now you want to be a good guy? Okay. But, again, we as leftists need to, leave the door open. You want to come in? Come on in. Come on in, but you're not going to be in front of the line. You're not going to be asking this airman who he wants to be president or if he should run for president. You become a voter. Thank you very much. You join an organization. Maybe you're a face who goes on like news stations and blah blah blah. But and maybe you're a utilitarian like fucking Grand Platinum. Like it's useful to flip that seat blue, and that's as much as we're gonna think about that. You don't get to be like the front face of the party. That's still like AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, all this. People who've been in that fight, been right, right too early. You get to lead now because you were right back then. People who just become right now, you go back to the back of the line. That's where we need to. But, it matters how much of a spotlight is on you. So maybe you do get to skip a couple steps because the spotlight's on you that much. But, I get it. Yeah, Democrats don't critique the military like the anti-imperialists. Exactly. It's not going to be a deal breaker. Exactly. And for, most people. Because you start going after the military or, even police, you got to pull back and be like, look, it's fuck the police, it's ACAP, but I understand, blah, blah, blah. If you want to, change and blah, blah, blah. You got to show people that there's an off-ramp, that you're not going to be, pelted into oblivion. Because that's what they're afraid of. And they go, I guess I'll be a fascist. Because they're welcoming me with open arms. And I don't see the daggers until it's too late. And now we're in this stage of if I say anything critical of Trump, I might get locked up right next to the people I helped to lock up. We need to show that there's an off-ramp. I know, ACAP of life, it is. But like the military, who is objectively worse, than police, because there's like international police, war crimes. It's still the same bowl of people of like, hey man, there's an off-ramp here. We gotta fix it. We do want to abolish the police, but not because we don't want you to have a job, but because we want you to have a safer job. And there's a better way to do this than just locking people in cages, because that doesn't produce better results, and hasn't. It just serves Elon Musk and the billionaires and shit. Off-ramp skating joke. I didn't even think about that, but yeah. I was thinking like a highway.
Times. It is a red flag that you have this hat. Yes, you got it covered up. Yes, you're saying, whatever. We're going to have to see how you govern after you win in order to, like, really put full-throated support behind. But I think, again,
if
there's
he's
so
like
many different conversations being
the
had.
most progressive,
I think
then hell yeah.
The establishment has a vested interest in degrading him. And
It's like
also,
Super Bernie.
we don't have to ignore his faults in order to say, hey, I think he's the best candidate for this race. Also, the issue with his analogy is that those pastors that get the pass from their congregation typically don't have to sit through hour-long interviews with like the fucking New York Times and The Daily Show's Jon Stewart or Mehdi Hassan or any of these other more liberal establishment, podcasts that are like, I'm not too sure about you. What about this thing you said on Reddit? What about, like, he's had to answer to and account for all of these things. He was actually even confronted at a town hall because he doesn't vet questions at town halls that were like, what you said on Reddit was fucking offensive to me. What do you have to say to that? And he's answered to that. And he's often said, I may have to keep apologizing. I may have to keep talking about it. I may have to keep clarifying myself, and that's fine.
Look, you
I
can
have
sketch
never
behind the
seen in
car.
all of my life as a Christian, I've never seen a pastor have to face that scrutiny and have to speak to that and not deflect to God or not deflect to the left. Now, maybe some of Graham's supporters are doing that, but Graham Plattner himself has answered to all of these things. I think that's the issue with this analogy here.
Online leftists who keep absolving Graham Plattner are able to look at quote-unquote establishment Democrats and condemn every single action that they do or say, and they do not hold their so-called own in Graham Plattner to the same account. Because that framework that religion has given us of hypocrisy, of being able to give grace to those we feel like we are aligned with, but to condemn to hell those we feel like there's a misalignment with, that framework is still so deeply rooted. And so,
well, and I agree with that, but it's like, you can make this video about liberals too. I mean, the same thing he's saying is that, like, you give grace to your own and you condemn the other. Liberals do the same thing. Liberals just did this with Jasmine Crockett. I'm like, well, no, technically it wasn't an endorsement and blah, 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 blah. Completely ignoring Wesley Bell's AIPAC ties, completely ignoring, like, the fact that he is an established candidate. Like, liberals do the same thing. But, like, the left is, like, known for eating its own. People are always like, you're a liberal. Oh, you're not left enough. Oh, you haven't read that book. Or you're not, like, they're always coming for their own. It's just like, Now, they come for AOC more than they come for Graham. There's some misogyny there, but, like, leftists always eat their own.
Went through a deconstruction. That
I don't read no books that don't have pictures in it.
Wasn't a deconstruction. It was actually an exit from religion while maintaining the framework of those
the religion
and
shit.
applying that dogmatic personality
Pastors
and
never
identity
get questioned.
into a new space.
What was that video of that dude, like, Copeland, getting asked a question by a reporter, and he starts like, you don't question me about my flight plans. Crazy.
Oh, I think that that's true. And, like, we have to be wary of that, especially if you come from a religious background, which is, again, all that you ain't saved enough, you ain't sanctified enough, you ain't left enough, you ain't read enough, you ain't, I do, like, I agree with that premise, but I just think that there's a lot of different things being conflated in this conversation here.
Ideology and taking that evangelical framework and now being a communist or now being a progressive or now being a leftist or whatever the thing is. It's the same concept. And Graham Plattner is the pastor who does not deserve to be in the pulpit.
Like, I appreciate that she's taking this argument and being like, okay, I agree with that, and I'll take that, I'll stipulate that for this conversation. But I'm like, I wouldn't even do that. I'd be like, it's not religion. It's not like blind faith. That's the whole reason there's so much left infighting, because you don't all agree on this one thing. Or you do all agree on this one thing, you don't, like, blindly agree. That's why there's, like, it's messy, and it takes a long time to get organized. because there's so many differing opinions. That's the whole point of religion, is we all agree on this, and if you start questioning that, we cut you out.
But because he speaks in tongues the way you like, he keeps getting passes. And I think that
Purge
is not only
mask
gross,
face. Yeah.
it's disgusting, but it's revelatory.
Copeland.
Something that maybe we should check moving forward. Because obviously, at this point, you won the primary, you want the Senate to be blue. So doggone it, it only seems like it's vote blue no matter who, and that blue is right.
That end is crazy. It seems like it's vote blue no matter who, unless they're white or whatever the case would be. Ooh. Again, you could say the same thing about liberals. It seems like it's vote blue no matter who, unless the blue is a leftist. Like after Zoran beat Cuomo in the primary, Cory Booker didn't come endorse him. Gillibrand, Schumer, they did not endorse. They didn't even say they voted for Zoran. It's vote blue no matter who, unless they're a leftist. Same with Graham. Same with Chris Rabb. Cory Booker, who said he doesn't get involved in races that are not in New Jersey, got involved with Sharif Street, the pro-Israel establishment candidate in that race, and then like didn't support the other black man that was like supporting the more progressive thing. So it's like, I think that there's a lot of things that ring true. At the same time, there's a lot of those criticisms that can be pointed right back at liberals or people that, you know, don't consider themselves leftist. So I think that there were some good things in there, but I thought that that video and some of the other videos that we reacted to today could be great jumping off points to have all these other broader conversations about censorship, about fascism, about left versus liberal versus black leftists, about insurgent candidates versus establishment candidates. But what I will say is we can't be so cucked to identity and these fucking labels that we miss the forest for the trees. Now, there's not going to be a perfect candidate, right? But what I will say is, shout out to the boys at the Jam Pod. Make sure you go follow them. I'll make sure to put their video in the description below. They said it ain't about purity, it's about integrity. And I think that instead of purity tests, we should be having integrity tests with people who we're trying to elect to be public servants. Not trying to join their fan club, not trying to stand them, and that goes for leftists and liberals alike, but who has the integrity? I think we have to drop the identity politics shit and just going for who is black. And I think that highlighting the Cori Bush, Wesley Bell, and the Christian Menifee and Al Green analogies, I think that is a really good way to discuss the fact that, okay, so then what happens when both of them black? How do you figure out? It ain't just what for what. It ain't just, oh, well, they're both black, so they're both good. No, you do kind of have to zoom in a little bit more, and you should. It is your civic duty to zoom in more and to see who's paying these people, who supports these people, what are they for? There's more than just fucking APAC, guys. We've moved so much quicker past that. APAC has moved quicker past that. They have found new ways to go about how they support candidates. And actually, like one of the videos that I wanted to react to,
the emulators.
Was just like, Track APAC has been confirmed to be a misinformation platform. No, they got some of their calculations wrong because it's very hard now to track APAC money through all of these shell packs. APAC will put money in a pack that's called Elect Women for Chicago. Look it up. And so you'll be like, what's the issue
Elect the
with
Chicago women.
Chicago? You'll be like,
Look out, Cat.
If you look at the FEC filings, APAC funneled money through this one, I mean, it's genuinely, it almost sounds conspiratorial, which is why Track APAC got kind of a bad rep, because they were like, this isn't even corrected. How are you just lumping all this together? It's two people running it. And they're going up against very sophisticated campaign finance law. And so give them a little grace, guys. But they're trying to help the consumer, the constituent, parse out who their candidate is actually being supported by and who they're gonna owe based on who contributed once they actually cross that threshold and get into Congress. So I know this was a big rant. I know I took us down a lot of different paths, but I hope you gain something from this. I hope that we can find more solidarity with each other. I hope that we can have more earnest and honest conversations and look past these fucking labels that were put onto us by white supremacists and white supremacy and actually get into the weeds of the reality. So if you like this video, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Watch all FIFA World Cup matches on Fox 1.
That was great. That was great. What's that FT thing? Alright. Because I don't have 1,000 followers on YouTube yet. So we cannot raid anybody on YouTube. However, we can raid over on Twitch. And Cosmopolitics is live over on Twitch. So thank you all for watching, folks. Have a happy Independence Day. Have a burger, have a hot dog, have some ribs. I'm trying to get her on this space picker. I joined the Discord, so we'll see. And I'll see you and when we go live again next week, probably at some point. Maybe I'll have a video up tomorrow, a reaction video, more radical music. Jesse Wells has an album out, so we could be doing that tomorrow. Check out the Brian Andrews one that I just put up yesterday, and we will check you again next week. Bye-bye. America.